Bold, daring, unpredictable. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. with Robert Vaughn and David McCallum. Friday at 8:30, 7:30 Central Time on NBC.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
His paintings redefined comic book heroes. His vision inspired a generation. The Legend of Kingdom Come is the definitive documentary on Alex Ross, known as the Norman Rockwell of comics.
It almost looked like Renaissance paintings, except for superheroes.
He makes them look like Olympian gods.
We go behind the scenes of his definitive graphic novel, Kingdom Come, now on Blu-ray, packed with exclusive interviews and unseen artwork. Order today at legendofkingdomcome.com.
If you're here at Word Balloon, it's because you like comics, creators, conversation, pop culture subjects. Would you consider joining the League of Word Balloon Listeners? Patreon.com/wordballoon. For just $3 a month or more, you'll get exclusive access to the Word Balloon e-magazine, featuring transcriptions of some of my best conversations. When you subscribe, you'll also be part of the Word Balloon Book Club, where Brian Michael Bendis and I will pick a comic every month to review and discuss live with the League on this show. Join the League today, patreon.com/wordballoon. Thank you always for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Welcome back, everybody. Time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Always happy to welcome back Sal Crivelli of ComicPop back to Word Balloon. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, bud. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right.
Your voice is back.
Yeah, finally. Jesus, I know, Sal. Oh my God. You know, and as you know, a million news things dropped, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll have the guy on. Sure, I'll talk to him. What's the problem?
Yeah. And you had to. There's nothing else you can do. There's no backup. You know, this is it.
No, and that's okay. I mean, I still have a blast, and you know how social I am when it comes to the people that I talk to, including yourself.
Oh,
I'm sorry it's been so long, man. It's been a while since we've done a crossover.
That's very right. That's very true, and I am sorry for that. That at least 50% of that is my fault. I'll take 75. But yes, we've just been, you know, it's been a busy time. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Absolutely, man. How many live shows do you do a week? And how many do you put out a week?
I've pared it down, really. We really try to scale it down to pretty much one a week at this point. It used to be too many. It used to be at least two from me, and then I did like 2 or 3 others on various other institutions. But now it's really just I have the one show on Mondays off the rack with my beautiful wife Tiffany, where we just talk about the latest books. And and that's kind of what where it's really pared down to. I do miss it though. I do like being live, which is another reason to jump on here, is just to be like, hey, let's just talk comics, you know.
Yeah,
but,
man. Absolutely.
Yeah, I do love it here, and I do miss the live experience. You've really leaned into it, I gotta say, right? Like this is pretty much your bread and butter at this point.
It is my bread and butter, and then thank you as always, League of Word Balloon listeners, the patrons, and even if you're just watching or listening, I thank you very much because. No, you're really helping me out because this is my full-time concern. Good friend of mine passed away 2 weeks ago, a radio mentor of mine. Oh, it's okay. And, you know, unfortunately, the guys that are older than me, it's, you know, getting to that point where death happens. Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was sick for a while, but I went back to my sports radio station and made an appearance, which was nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was nice.
Yeah. Do you miss it? Do you miss radio?
No, because the juice I get here covers that same excitement and immediacy and connecting with the audience. So honestly, no. And really, Sal, I don't know about how it is as far as radio near you in Jersey, but Chicago radio is a far cry from what it was when I first got into the biz.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh no, I can't even imagine what radio, like what a nightmare it must be. I've actually tried. It's funny. I've considered reaching out to different like radio affiliates just because I have I have an affinity for the classics, and I want to be like, you know, I want to have my hand in many pots, or however the phrasing goes. But as much as like radio is, you call it a dinosaur or that it's dead or whatever. But like, listen, every car comes with one, and Sirius XM's expensive. So I think a lot more people listen to radio than some folk would want to give them credit for. But at the same time, they have this is a long analogy, but it your one of your images reminded me. I think one of your little logos that must have been by Scott Kurtz, right?
No, actually, they're not. It's funny. They are reminiscent of Scott, like the shot of me with the tin can.
Yeah, the little U, or you're like, no, the one that says word balloon, like where it's like a sharper angle.
That's Franco.
Franco made Franco. That. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, apologies to Franco, but I was reminded of Kurtz back in the day when he did this webcomic called PvP, and he was like, I'm doing well. This is going well for me. You know what? Why don't I get into newspapers? And tried to like slip in, and the newspaper people were not having it. It was a real struggle for them. And it was a thankless job, and he didn't, he regretted every minute of it, or at least that's what the conjecture seemed to be. Yeah. And I'd considered reaching out to, I'd reach out to a couple of like radio affiliates in my area, and no, stonewalling would be a very kind way to describe it, where they were like, a podcaster, you're taking my you're eating my lunch. Get the hell away from me. It was no interest.
That's amazing, because there are podcasts that are based here in Chicago that have teamed up with community radio stations. Rebel Radio, Star Wars podcast that's based here. They do stuff, but they're on. And again, luckily because of Chicago, there are a lot of smaller stations that are in the 1200s on the AM band, for example. Yeah. And I got to be honest, man. And you've got the same good thing going. We have a global audience.
Yes,
well, it's nice having a radio station home. Scott Hines with Fanboy Radio was always very proud of the fact that he was on radio as well. And it's like, yeah, but Scott, you're on Texas Christian University's radio station, which is still a radio station, but it is a public radio station. And you're on Sunday night at 6:00 in the evening, which literally is the lowest rated hour of prime hours during the week, because everybody's having dinner Sunday night and not a lot of people are listening to the radio. Yeah. So it's more impressive that people in Melbourne are listening to Fanboy Radio or Word Balloon or ComicPop than the ego boost of hey, I was in my car and I heard you last night.
Yeah, no, it's true. Well, although I will say I did get a little bit of a shot in the arm. We had a nice write-up in one of our local mailers. Like there was a little zine that comes out in our town circulations, and there was like a multi-page write-up about ComicPop in there, just because I went to high school with someone who did like the work for them, and they were like, hey, this is what you're doing now? That's way better than the latest farmers market announcement. And so that was kind of fun. And my parents were finally like, whoa, this is a big deal. I'm like, thank you. Thank you.
I know. Again, we've got these global audiences, but we're in like a local zine. Hey,
like,
yeah, I know.
That's Prince, Never mind the fact that like I'm in Forbes. Like there's a Forbes article that links me. It's not negative, but it didn't help the people who are referenced in the article, and I won't go any further than that.
It's just, you're gonna have to tell me off the air.
Well, it's just we have a mutual friend who writes comic books, who has a desire to get into the film industry. He may have a couple of nice contracts right now, and he may have said a thing or two on my podcast that may have been proprietary, or at the very least not his information to share. And it blew up.
These things happen.
Happen. But both of us, he got more hot water than I did, certainly. But
so tell me, because of course, I don't know. I don't remember, forgive me, because I'm sure it's come up before, but everyone always talks about the horse race, DC and Marvel, how things are going. It is interesting. And I always quote Greg Rucka, when he said, Marvel is like the hare and DC is like the tortoise. And the hare can juke and move fast and innovate and be quick and do everything you'd think to be miles ahead. And all of a sudden he looks ahead of him and suddenly the tortoise is 2 blocks ahead of him. I really feel like DC is like, certainly right now, DC is having a massive beyond moment, several moments every month, obviously.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they'll find a way to fuck it up. But I'm kidding, DC. Don't not invite me. But no, the DC is having an amazing moment. Comics do, that's the nature of comics, particularly big two. But sometimes even more so with the indie crowd, where like a book will hit and it's just this darling and it blows up and it becomes this like circus. But Marvel and DC, they tend to they I'm sure there's a better boxing metaphor that that you could use to describe it. But they have their moments. It's funny because you describe the tortoise and the hare, and it's so true. It's such an apt metaphor. I've always looked at Marvel and DC as Marvel being more tortoise-like, in as much as DC will just try shit. Like DC the first one to throw their hat over the wall. Like DC is the first one to go like imprint, all ages, adult oriented. They might not stick to them, but they try them. And Marvel is always just like looking over the fence going, did it work? Did it happen? And if it did, we'll take some time. Like they don't. It's not like the old Stan Lee story where he's like, DC was aping off our covers, and so we had a lot of. They heard we had a lot of green, so I pulled all the green. Like it was never that reactionary. Marvel is reactionary to bad news, tweets, Hollywood, but they're never reactionary to what the competition is doing better than them. But they will do it. Like they will rip it off. And I can imagine that if Marvel hadn't already coincidentally launched a new Ultimate Universe around the same time as the Absolute Universe, that right now, 2 years in, they'd be talking about launching a new Ultimate Universe.
Fair. No, absolutely fair. And also it really needed to be mapped out for me, but now I get it.
Yeah.
The Marvel's choices for titles are by design of what's coming out movie-wise, what's coming out TV-wise. We had Thunderbolts in the spring with Lansing and Kelly in anticipation of the movie. Daredevil is going to be a huge month in March. There's Alex Segura's novel. Stephanie Phillips is going to take over the monthly. And, of course, on Disney Plus, season 2 of Born Again.
Yeah.
So I get it. And I can't blame them. And that's what's interesting, to the degree where Creator X walks in and says, hey, man, I got a great idea for Dolphin.
Sure.
And a Dolphin miniseries. And this is going to be great. And they look and go, yeah, but we don't have a Dolphin TV show or movie coming up. Sorry. No, not interested right now.
I can't even imagine, like, I could imagine, like, I don't know how it works. And I actually don't know anyone who works there really, outside of, like, people who used to work for DC. And even then, it's not, I don't know everybody over there, and I would never want to get anyone in trouble, because I can imagine that, like, not that they got their ear to the pavement. I imagine the word eventually catches over there, but I would never want to get anyone in trouble. But I feel like I can't even imagine feeling comfortable enough at Marvel to pitch an idea, like a big idea, outside of like having clout. Like if you have clout and you're like, hey, we should launch this. I mean, look at there was this great like Marvel had a couple of ideas, and you could tell they were very creator oriented. Like when Zdarsky pitched What If, like clearly Zdarsky was like, where's the what ifs? He also pitched, of course, where are the evergreen graphic novels, or at the very least like miniseries collections that should go on shelves? Life Story. And they were like, okay, you know what, Chip, good idea, Fantastic Four Life Story, never mind. Like just like the sales weren't meteoric or whatever. I don't even know. I honestly couldn't tell you how Fantastic Four Life Story was. I can tell you I only read one issue of it, and I was like, oh, okay.
I read it, I liked it, but you know who does
a lot
know
of people
were Dave Gabriel, the Marvel numbers guy. And again, I this has been going on for almost as long as I've been doing the podcast, where, hey, brand new series, Dr. Voodoo. Rick Remender, congratulations. You're going to be writing Dr. Voodoo. It's going to be an ongoing or whatever. And at the very least, you're guaranteed 12 issues. And issue 1 comes out, and it's Rick bad news. It's only going to be the first arc. It's only going to be these 5 issues, and you're done.
Yeah, first issue, they're like, all right, we already know what we're going to do in the next 6 months, and it's not support your book.
Well, and again, it's because the readership, the orders weren't there from the stores. And again, that's really, it's the stores more than the readers, as you well know.
Now,
So,
here's my question to you, because you've been in this business a long, long time, and you know these people, and you especially know like how this, how this should run, or at the very least, you have
Yeah.
your own ideas. I wonder. Let's say they launch a new series. Like, let's say that like a young, hot new creator is there, and I don't know, he's somebody's nephew, so he gets, you know what? Let's go for she is a niece of someone important at Marvel,
even
right?
better.
Hot young new creator, and they really have it in. Like, they really want to do a great new Night Thrasher book. Right? They got a really interesting take on Night Thrasher. First issue comes in, and the preview, the pre-order sales are like, let's say 18,000, 20,000. You're Marvel. What do you do? I mean, if you don't want to be just like, I mean, if I saw anything under 20,000, I'd give it the axe too. But let's say that we want to, like, make them feel good, like they're related to someone in the company. So I have to keep this book on the shelves. I have an invested interest in seeing it succeed. And we did everything, with Marvel's marketing, we tried nothing and we were all out of ideas. But let's say they did put a marketing scheme behind it to try and get it out there. But it just, the audience wasn't there. How do you build the audience? How do you sell this book or any book that's new and out of the gate floundering? Like,
I don't think they think in those terms, unfortunately. And
no question about that.
Well, yeah, so I don't know. I unfortunately, the comic that always was the original source for all the movies and TV is the tale these days. Yeah. And the dog is the television show and the movie properties. And yeah. I don't think I just again, quoting another creator, John Hickman, comics are on the same shelf for different reasons. And in Marvel's case, it really is Marvel is movies and TV first, and they're happy to get ideas from the comics still, and that's still important. But again, they're playing the hits, and I don't think there's room for a Night Thrasher series, period. And again, then you're right about DC. I got our friend Tom King coming along going, hey, I got an idea for Human Target. Hey, I got an idea for Mr. Miracle. Nobody was, and again, Mr. Miracle does so well, soon to be an animated series. Thank you, HBO. So, if anything, Marvel, pay attention to that. Although, and we'll bounce back and forth. I'm so relieved and thrilled at how good Wonder Man is.
Yeah. I haven't watched Wonder Man yet. I will admit I was not excited about it, not necessarily because of anyone involved. I'm not a Wonder Man fan. Like, I don't like Wonder Man as a character. Sure. But there was a time with the MCU where, like, I'll try everything. Like, I'll read whatever, or I'll watch anything. That has long since passed, but I was so tired of Hollywood navel-gazing shows. And I know that this is great, and I actually know people who've seen it and love it, and I completely appreciate it. But I'll just to explain why I haven't seen it yet is I am done watching shows about how crazy it is to work in Hollywood. Like, that is so uninteresting to me at this point. Like, there used to be a time where, like, there were things called film buffs, people who just liked movies, and they'd be the person who'd, like, lean over to you and be like, did you know the shark's named Bruce? Or, like, did you know that Viggo Mortensen broke his toes when he kicked that helmet? And that was it. But, like, it's become this whole thing where, like, meta watching and, did you know? And, I can't be a fan unless I know every single minutia about it. And Hollywood was like, we're more than happy to make movies, shows, and anything else that are about how great it is to be on my side of the table. And it's just like, I like, from that show about the aging comedian and her intern to the show about the blah, but like, I'm just like, I'm done watching your shows about you and how great you are and how fun it is, or how terrible it is to work in Hollywood. I would love to watch Hollywood make a show or movie that doesn't look like they shot it on the lot outside of their office. And Wonder Man was screaming from the top of from rooftops, She-Hulk was too expensive. And even She-Hulk looked like they shot it. And in fact, the last episode is shot on the lot in their studio. Like, I couldn't do it. I was like, I can't give you any more time. That being said, I've heard it's wonderful. It's a very short amount of time, like, not a lot of episodes, not a very long run time. I'll probably catch it soon. Like, I'm trying to get fit. I'm on a bike for 45 minutes a day. Maybe I'll watch it there.
Congratulations, buddy. That's
Thank you.
wonderful to hear.
Oh,
Beautiful.
I didn't mean to
Good deal.
sneak that in, but
No, I'm happy for honestly. Hey, you and I are friends. That's great to hear. I'm very happy.
true.
About
Thank
that.
you. Yeah.
But I get what you're saying about industry things. Again, you'll forgive me, Sal. I spent 30 years in broadcasting,
Right.
Before alongside my 20 podcasting. So I won't deny, and especially even growing up with the ambition of getting into broadcasting, I was all about broadcast news and and movies about movies and TV about TV. Mary Tyler Moore working in the newsroom, for God's sake.
And that was novel back then. Now it seems like it's just a dodge, like it's just a way to save money.
You're right. It absolutely is a very reliable and standard workplace comedy environment.
Yeah,
and I agree with you. I'll be honest. I kind of like the studio, the Apple Seth Rogen show.
Oh yeah,
but I'm not in love with it the way Bendis is and some other friends. And I'm just like, yeah, it's all right, but it's nothing new. And I've certainly seen this pony show other ways and other times. And so I get it. That said, though, like you said, God, Wonder Man half-hour episodes. And
it's only half an hour. Okay, I'll watch it.
They're it's only 8 half-hour episodes, and it works. It works, and the chemistry between Simon Williams and the Mandarin is very, very funny.
I've heard that. I've heard that. Like my pal DJ Woolrich over at Only Stupid Answers mentioned on like the show we just did yesterday. He said specifically, like, why would you not that like the actor who plays Wonder Man isn't excellent. It's actually quite the contrary. Like, he's amazing. Why was he tapped for this show? And it's like, because you needed someone who can go toe to toe with Ben Kingsley. And it's like, okay, like that's
And it's deceptive because clearly he's the inexperienced actor as opposed to Ben Kingsley's character. Who is, but no, also I had no idea. Mitch was saying last week when we were reviewing Star Trek, I didn't realize. No, it's the guy who played Dr. Manhattan in the HBO Watchmen show.
He is also, I believe, Black Manta.
He is also Abdul Black Manta.
The second is
absolutely, yes.
He's great. Like he's great. So I would love to, and I'd love to see him in this kind of state. Like, I've seen him be a badass a couple more times. I would rather see him in this kind of vulnerable position. The other question that I have, and it's more not a question, but it's another, not a strike against it, but it's like part of my whole point. Back when when Netflix had the Defenders and everything, and everybody was saying when they were first launching it, no, it's all canon, and I'm like, you liars. The kind of impetus behind it, it's not just getting additional additional content. There was a promise from the creation of the MCU, which is these guys are going to interact with each other. Like, just from part of the reason why anyone would go see Thor, besides like the hardcore Thor fans or the curious Thor or the curious would-be Thor fans, is the promise of, oh man, he's going to interact with Tony Stark. That's going to be freaking awesome. Part of the allure of the Defender show, besides making an amazing Daredevil show, like a show that I could never have fathomed in my wildest dreams, is the hope that Matt would meet the Avengers in that Born Again sequence from Frank Miller. Like, wouldn't that be great? And there's just this real fear, and it's mostly from Vincent D'Onofrio, who's like, that ain't gonna happen, man. Like, that was and the lack of enthusiasm, let's say, for the Marvel shows ever since, like especially Disney Plus oriented, and the lack of enthusiasm from even the tangential connections like WandaVision transitioning to Multiverse of Madness. I feel like Marvel's not gonna do, I don't think Simon Williams is gonna show up in Avengers movies. My point. And it's
I wondered that as well, and I agree with you.
Right.
I also understand the logistics behind TV and film.
Yeah.
And I mean, my God, on the Shield television show, get Samuel L. Jackson to lean on a wall or a tree for 4 scenes. I'm sure they had to move mountains to get him in the studio to shoot that little bit and everything.
Yeah, and he's always willing. Like, the thing is, Samuel L. Jackson's down to be in these things, and yet it was still probably difficult. I mean, but again, look at Vincent D'Onofrio's comments where he's like, I want to be in a Spider-Man movie. Now, that being said, that's Spider-Man. that's even more complicated. So,
well, right, because of the whole Sony of it all.
Exactly.
And and they're sharing rights and things. Absolutely. No, again, a good friend of mine, I was actually teasing about him with Art and Franco and the guys. And he always, and in fact, he even said it about Wonder Man. And he's like, he said it in his Facebook post. I won't name him, but if he's watching or listening, he's like, stop talking about me. But he's like, it was okay, but I wanted more. And whenever he says that, I say, define more.
Right.
I don't know, just more. And he would talk about like the CW Crisis crossovers.
Yeah.
And he'd say the same thing. I want more. And I'm like, everybody's there from the Arrowverse. What more do you want? I don't know. And then, or on Supergirl, he'd be like, when Tyler Hoechlin would show up on Supergirl, he'd be like, well, Superman really should be the one that solves the problem. And I'm like, the name of the show is Supergirl.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the same thing. And my favorite argument was years ago during Green Arrow when it first was back in the 2000s, and there was an issue with him fighting Solomon Grundy.
Yeah.
And someone's like, oh, no way in hell would he beat Solomon Grundy. Give me a break. And it's like, the name of the book is Green Arrow. Green Arrow is going to beat Solomon Grundy.
That's the point of having those team ups. Like the point of putting Juggernaut in a Spider-Man comic is to see how Spider-Man beats Juggernaut. It's not to show how awesome Juggernaut is against your favorite superheroes. That ain't the thing we're selling here, pal. But you know what I think it is? I suspect it. And I don't want to editorialize and put words in his mouth, but I suspect I want to feel something. Like I appreciate how big it is. I want to feel more enthusiasm. Like because for me, I didn't watch the CW. Like I saw the first 3 episodes of Arrow. I've seen a couple of moments from Supergirl, Flash, etc. Like I've watched some of it, not enough for me to ever say I know what's going on in that show, but I've watched a little bit of it. But I could say, it ain't for me. But I did see a couple of moments from Crisis, and I was like, that's impressive. Like regardless of anything, that's impressive, and that's really cool. I can't imagine anybody who was a fan of that saying they wanted more. I could imagine someone who is a comic book fan watching Crisis and going, I can't believe they're doing this. I wish I gave a rat's ass. Like I wish I felt something while it was happening. And it's like, it's part of the reason why I think general audiences at the end of Endgame, when, Cap says Avengers Assemble and everybody's on your left and there's all this stuff, all the portals open up and it was just like pandemonium. But there was a little part of me that was like, where's the bubble for the Defenders? Like, where's the bubble for Daredevil? Because I'll be honest with you, MCU, I care more about Matt than most of these folks. And, but by the way, that did not in any way color my enthusiasm or enjoyment of the movie. I was cheering along with everybody else, maybe a little less because I was like, I don't want to be the person. I don't want to be the one that over cheers. But, But like I understand that feeling of being like, this is the moment. There's a moment we're watching the Flash movie, my friend and I. My friend, not as big a comic book fan, but appreciates everything. Loves Michael Keaton's Batman. The bat plane goes up into the sky. You see it in the moon. He like punches me in the arm, and I'm like, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And he is like really excited, and I'm like, part of me, and I'm like, it is really cool that Michael Keaton's back. So like I found a way to like feel, but like I think I suspect your friend just wants to feel like that, where it's like, oh, it's happening. Like it's happening. And it's just, a lot of time. I mean, look, we've got 2 Indiana Jones movies in theaters where I was like, I have not felt like it's happening. Like it's never going to happen. Okay. Like there's way too many franchises where I'm like, this is if ever it's going to get me, it's now, and then it doesn't. And I'm like, I appreciate the craft and the effort, but it just didn't, my heart did not sing.
All right. Now you've struck gold, because truly, as you know, I've been beyond frustrated with Star Trek.
Oh,
I know people are frustrated. With, okay, good. Exactly. I know.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I know people are frustrated with Star Wars for the same reasons.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And it's, God, it is so annoying as fans and knowledgeable fans to know that it's taking them sometimes 2 or 3 years of, they don't like what we're doing. Maybe we should change. And it's like, no shit. We sent you that memo 4 years ago. Where the fuck have you been? For God's sake?
Well, even just the Kelvin stuff, like just the Kelvin timeline alone, enthusiasm, like, there was a show, the original series. People had 3 seasons. I'm
Three
not a
seasons.
TOS fan.
Boy. Yeah, boy.
But
You
like
got
3 seasons of TOS, so they knew and loved these characters. So a whole bunch of episodes of interactions and silliness, but also heart and importance. Then you got the movies. It's okay for the movies to have like a long break between them, because I have seasons of shows. I know what these guys do when they when they're hungry or when they are in love. So it's okay to like take a minute, especially when those movies are like big moments. But then they introduce the Kelvin timeline, and they're like, here's your new crew. You don't know them. They're completely new and special, and you'll only see them together every like 6 to 8 years. And it's like, like, there's no, like, you can't expect me to hold to carry a torch like that. But if you wanted to make like a show where maybe they do less expensive things between, that'd be something. But like the understanding of Star Trek and what like makes it work. Star Trek ain't Star Wars. Hell, Star Wars ain't Star Wars. You can't expect a Star Trek movie or show to make hundreds of millions of dollars. It's just unfeasible, and it's unrealistic, and you have to transform it into something else in order to make it work that way. Like I could see He-Man making 800-900 million dollars, because not all millennials are dead, so we're okay. Or Gen X, I should guess. It's kind of on the fence, but but you'd be hard pressed to get like $900 million worth of audience members to show up to like Star Trek 4. It's just hard to do. And so what you need to do is you got to make it cheaper,
Well, you're 100% right about all that, including the television that doesn't need to be as expensive as they make it. Spend more money on writers. And
you don't even need to do that. You know how writers are broke. Like you could get any number of writers to go. They'll go in for scale. The people who want. Yeah.
I was then stop hiring your friends whose only experience is fantasy and teen romance and don't know how to write science fiction. But also the other problem with the movies are, I was relieved, because I loved Superman. I thought the new movie was great. Same. But I was really concerned that it might take 3 to 4 years before coming back to this story. Obviously, we're getting Supergirl this year, and even what they said about and that Superman is coming in 2027. So there is a plan to keep Corn Sweat around, as opposed to, hey, guess what? Chris Evans is the flavor of the month. Here's 5 other non-Captain America movies that are going to keep him busy. And Downey is the same way, and Hemsworth, and Scarlett, for that matter, all these people. So, I again, that's the problem. They get these A-listers and stuff, but the A-listers have other commitments.
Oh, sure.
I mean, God, we're still waiting for the next Sherlock Holmes movie after 2 great ones from Downey.
I thought that was over. I saw that announcement too. I was like, wow, they're really going to make another one? Okay. I loved those movies. They're goofy and weird, but I did really like them.
They are goofy and weird.
I like them a lot. And I remember like the second time, like in the second one, I'm in the theater, that insane music is playing, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm excited to see this stupid Sherlock Holmes movie. And then after it was over, I'm like, I kind of want another 3 more. And I can't believe we're getting another one. I'm down. But like, it's just kind of like refreshing and fun. I'm okay with that. But it took way too long. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, they blurred the line between TVs and movies. And so it's like, movies or TV shows, you get 6 episodes that cost $600 million or some nonsense. It's like, well, then why don't you just make 3 movies right now? Or if you don't, make like 3, or I don't know what the solution is here, but just or make Sherlock Holmes, instead of what you were going to do for the next 2 movies, just make 6 episodes of Sherlock Holmes for the same price.
Yeah, but again, I don't know the economics behind film and television like I used to, because it is a different game because of streaming. That said, as Clem Dog just said, he likes anything Holmes related. I do too, and unlike other IPs, I am more generous with stretching the Holmes idea. I didn't think I'd like Watson. And my buddy Jason Inman, I don't know how well you know Jason.
I love Jason. Yes, he's amazing.
Great guy. I was so happy for him that he got the gig. But
Same.
I'm like, I don't know, man. But then Robbie Coltrane, or not Robbie Coltrane, the guy from Full Monty that's playing Holmes this season.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
he's a little scrawny guy. He was in Stargate Universe.
Okay.
Somebody in the chat's going to know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
But I mean, the Watson opened up literally at the Reichenbach Falls, and Holmes suddenly missing, presumed dead. And here, ChemDog agrees. He says Watson is great. Yeah, you know, Watson, if for people who haven't watched it or listen or that are listening, it's very much, and I mean this in a positive way, in the same realm as House, as far as the medical problems of the week. They're always unique and everything. And Morris Chestnut is fantastic as Watson. But I'm like, I don't know if I want to follow this. And then I heard that in the second season, all of a sudden, Holmes shows up as he does in the canon. He didn't actually die at Reichenbach Falls, and they're following that. Okay, now, and I know he's going to only be a guest star, but that intrigued me enough to watch a couple episodes. And it's like, no, this is a quality show. But I am more forgiving with, I didn't care for Elementary because I felt like a female Watson was a bridge too far. No disrespect to Lucy Liu. I would have felt this way about any actress. And also, hi, I'm Jane Watson. Your father hired me. And it's like, okay, whatever. But meanwhile, I love what Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman did with Sherlock. I adore that show. And pretty much I am down, even the bad, because it's in the public domain. And every couple of years, a movie studio like The Asylum will make a Sherlock Holmes story. I'll check it out because I like Sherlock Holmes that much. But that said, you know, screw with Star Trek canon. And I'm one of the first assholes on the front line going, wrong, you know, so.
Yeah, that's fair. I you know, it's interesting because like Star Trek is, you know, just us talking about it, we're gonna lose viewers because of how like just not interesting it is to people. And I appreciate that. I understand. Listen, I was one of them when I was growing up. I was like, look, I'm different enough. I don't need to be a fan of Star Trek. And you know, I like Star Wars. People give me a hard time, and everybody's seen Star Wars, but
were you like my nephew? My nephew, I was living with my sister for a while. My nephew's like 12 years old, and I'm watching, you know, the Upteenth rerun on either Spike or BBC America, wherever it was. And he goes, I hate this show. And I'm like, why? You like space shows? Yeah, but they never fight. All they do is they sit and they look at the TV screen down there, and the guy's in the big chair, and they talk. And then they go into a little room and they talk more. And I'm pounding the floor laughing. And I'm like, the kid's not wrong. There isn't a lot of pew 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 on 80s and 90s Star Trek. That's true.
No, it's very expensive to make them shoot. And yeah, that was 100% my argument, especially because I was like, why would I watch a show where they creatively avoid shooting each other when I could just watch Star Wars? And it's like, because it's not about that. Like Star Wars is in the name. It's about the war. It's about watching them shoot each other.
Yes.
Star Trek is about how they avoid it. Like it's about how they avoid war. Like war is the most unfathomable thing you can experience. Let's try to keep that from happening.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
But like, you can't expect an 11-year-old to be like, sweet, like this, that, yes, that's heavy. Like,
but you know, honestly, I guess because I was 5 and got hooked in, and it was while Apollo was still happening. Because again, that's how old I am.
That will help. That will help. Like,
but yeah, I mean, there was a plausibility that but you know, 200 or 300 years from now, we could have ships and a full complement of a crew in the same way there's a crew on a ship. Yeah. So sure, we go from 3 people now to 300 years from now. Okay, you know, again, I mean, I knew it was fantasy, but it was plausible. To me.
Well, and there was the enthusiasm, I'm sure, like the fun of like of the space of space, and the you know, we're charting, you know, these new pathways, we're creating these new industries, you know, we're there's a reason they're satisfying a curiosity and a desire, right? Because it's like there's only so much you can know about the space program as it's happening. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to give it to you, but it's not necessarily riveting material if it's just like, here's how they figured it out. Oh, if you want to be an astronaut, I hope you're good at math. And it's like, I am not good at math, but I do know how to tell a story about what it's like to deal with another person who's like you, but not like you in some weird, subtle way that actually is a lesson about how I need to accept that person. Like, it's just like, Star Trek is there for people who love space or love social commentary or love, you know, science fiction, just science fiction in general. I mean, if you read Asimov, you're probably a Star Trek fan. And it's like, that's, you know what? Asimov had more stuff in it because it was fiction, because it was written and you didn't pay for it. Like, it was just, crazy shit happens. You know.
Oh yeah, as far as producing an idea, yeah, it's very much.
Star Trek is like, you know, the Gorn is already got killed our budget. By the way, I was just gonna say, apropos of your comment earlier about like how, you know, it's like leave the fantasy authors and the YA people out of Star Trek. It's like, look, if you have to satisfy a programming lineup for your unearned, not asked for streaming service that no one should be paying for, then, you know, there's room for that. You could make a Klingon show written by fantasy authors. I feel like fantasy people get, like, you know what I mean? Like, the Federation would never be a Game of Thrones show. Like, it should never feel like that, unless you count Deep Space Nine. And they did that. We're good. But like, if you want to make a Game of Thrones show in Star Trek, it's called the Klingons, and you go make it, or the Romulans, and you go make it. It's about them, and it's like that's where you put those people, right? Those writers. If you want to make a YA movie or show, hey, Starfleet Academy's been waiting for you for like the last 60 years. They've been asking for it. This ain't the way to do it. But
yeah, that's the thing though, Sal. The problem though is they can handle the YA teen of it. What they can't handle is the Star Trek container in which it's in, and there are too many liberties. And also, I'll say, and I've been saying this on the last couple shows, there is too much of a catering to the alternative lifestyles. And I don't mean, listen, I'm liberal as much as any liberal friend that I have.
Sure.
That said, I do think what they see as representation, I see as pandering and a very one-dimensional acknowledge of different lifestyles. And it's
a very difficult conversation to have, because it is like, it's something that used to be, there were different terms for it back, even 30 years ago, the expression of like PC culture versus, which now they call woke, which is not
woke, DEI.
Which again, like, there's like DEI is a program that you need in order to make sure that there isn't, malfeasance going on. Woke is an expression, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but created by the African American community to describe what it's like to understand what it's like to be from their perspective. Nothing wrong with that, and also is not in any way really representative of the term like PC culture or PC or even S&P, like just standards and practices, being like you're overcorrecting, the overcorrection. Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, haven't seen it. Watched a couple seconds of it. Loved seeing Robert Picardo getting work. Outside of that, couldn't care less. But I appreciate, but I understand the concern, and honestly, my opinions have waxed and waned on this over the years. But my real main opinion, if I have to be grilled on one in this case, is when it comes to pandering. I'll let the people being pandered to decide if they're being pandered to or not. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like, is it? Does it seem like an overcorrection? Yeah. Is it? I'll let the people who it's correcting for be the judge. Outside of that, it's not a show for me anyway, so I'm not going to watch it. Starfleet Academy has been pitched for so many years. It's so funny. We were talking about it.
Yeah, but also the powers that be turned it down ultimately each time.
Oh yeah. Well. I know every single time they've been canceling it. Like every single time they were like, no, we're not going to do that. No, we're not going to do that. I pitched an idea to my friend who loved it. He's a die in the wool Star Trek fan. Have you ever seen the MTV cartoon show Clone High?
Of course, I love Clone High.
Clone High in Star Trek, where it's like they cloned the luminaries of Star Trek. So it's like they have a clone of Zefram Cochrane, they have a clone of Picard, they have a clone of Kirk, they have a clone of Sisko, they have a clone, and they're all in Starfleet Academy together. But what they find out is like they're not actually in Starfleet Academy; they're in like a secret subterranean training facility where like we're gonna make the next generation, TM copyright
of these people. Yes,
of Starfleet like leadership.
Remember, wasn't it in the Legion of superheroes? Wasn't it like the S7s?
Yeah.
All the younger clones,
right?
Of the Legion. When things got too dark during 5 years later. Hey, look, there's a little secret chamber, and it's us when we were young and perfect, and when more of the audience loved us.
Yes.
So, and again, I loved 5 years later. But no, that is hilarious. So right? Spock has Clone High. Spock has Zits. And things that.
Like young,
young
Spock.
It's like Clone High Lincoln, which I love.
Yes, exactly. And they you can make it a cartoon, so they're all played so they all look like themselves, or you make it live action. But I think a cartoon would lend itself to it.
Oh no,
it's just just a goofy ass thing that's like, it plays the, Janeway's in there too. Screw it. Why not? Like everybody, and you never know who's there. And then like, I'm not here to help them. But Star Trek is in a weird place, and it's always been, and it's like,
I'm hoping that we're at the end of this Kurtzman era. The guy's had 9 years, has had plenty of shows to give his version of Star Trek. It has divided the audience, and nobody can deny that. And again, as much as, everyone is happy to tell you, but when Next Generation first came out, a lot of people didn't like it. You're right. You're absolutely right. But they had 25 episodes a season get better, as opposed to, all right, here's 10. Good luck.
Yeah. And then 6 years later, we'll do season 2. It's because these breaks between seasons are for the birds. It's insane.
Oh my, Sal, honestly, every goddamn show at best, unless it's already baked in and production is already going on, you're waiting 2 years between seasons.
Yeah.
And it's impossible. How do you build? It is amazing the shows that have succeeded. And my God, I'll be honest, I didn't stick with Stranger Things. Halfway through the first season, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this anymore.
That's fair.
So,
I was a sucker for it. I don't know why. I just really
that's great, man. No, God bless you, man. That's awesome. Hey, let's hope there are more new shows that get, what's great that's new? The Beauty.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it
yet. No? Okay. Well, Jeremy Hahn, good friend of mine, that's and him and Jason Hurley, that's their baby. And I literally, he and I were talking yesterday afternoon. I am so happy for him, because you and I both know a lot of people who have had their stuff made into TV shows and film, and they've kind of shit the bed. Yeah. And again, I always feel bad picking on poor Ricky Remender with Last Days of American Crime being made into a Netflix film that's not that good, to say the least. And what are you going to do? Again, I hope the check cashed nice, but or in the case of Celia Norton, Revival is good on Sci-Fi Channel. It was really, really good, and I don't know if it's going to get another season or not. I hope so. I like the actors. I like I had the two guys on that are the showrunners, and of course, Celia Norton among my best friends. So I mean, I'm thrilled for them. Yeah. But I don't know this, and it doesn't help when you've got to wait for 2 years of production before you get a season 2.
Yeah, it's ironic that like we're in a place now where the best formula to keep people excited about your show or property is to have like a shorter release window, like the way it used to work, where it's like, here's 26 episodes. We'll see you in like 8 months for 26 more. Now it's like, here's 8, see you in 2 to 3 years. If it does well, we can't release our numbers because I can't let the competition know, because every single studio spent $1 trillion to make this thing no one asked for. And we need to make sure that we stay alive long enough to be the last streaming service. And it's just like, but no one cares, because there's so many streaming services with so many things being made, and so many of those things are prestige and short and have ridiculously long windows between seasons, if they ever come out at all. And the audience's attention span has been truncated exponentially over the last 5 years, much less 20, 30 years. So like, if you really wanted to get people, can you imagine them announcing the next episode or the next series, and they're like, okay, so the episode, it's going to be 44 minutes long, let's say 20 episodes, and it's a guarantee that next season will be 20 more, and it'll be back on in 8 or 9 months. People go ballistic, and it's like, we've reduced them now to just binging. Like, we can't even pretend like old material can be repackaged and redistributed in the new way, because it's already been mined. Like, well, Seinfeld came out on Netflix, and like no one cares because they watched it all in like a weekend and it's over. And it's like, yeah, well, that's that,
So it's not doing as well as it did.
I don't know, honestly. I know that like Friends was having a revolution, and
Friends, I was telling another friend today, in fact, because he was surprised at how many he's really been enjoying Tubi, a free streamer for
Yes.
as much as he enjoys that. And I was explaining, using Friends as an example. I'm like, Starfleet Academy is getting beat by Raymond reruns on Paramount Plus.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are going to these streamers for the reruns. And as you know, Netflix made a huge deal, like $500 million, to keep Friends on with HBO and Warner Brothers, to keep it on Netflix, because it's still like among their top 10 biggest shows. And absolutely, all these kids, I don't know the names of the generations anymore.
It's Alpha now.
Yeah, Gen Z and Gen Alpha are loving Friends and discovering again, I get it. That was me in the 70s digging Leave It to Beaver, as silly and ridiculous as it was, and certainly in a different way.
Sure.
Now it's, hey, Dad, what's the threesome? I just saw that on Friends.
Yeah, man, it's a whole new ball game, and it's funny because like the other thing is, and that's the other elephant in the room, is just like the competition, which is all over the place. And I don't want to get into it too much. We'll talk comics, but like, the competition for everything, like the new frontier is your brain and attention, and everything is jockeying for it. Like the news, because it's so sensationalized, like we've never been more informed and misinformed, but we had never been more informed over the last like 15, 20 years than we had for previous hundreds of years. And because we're so well informed and we know how things work, and we know how like this deck is stacked against us, the way that we know that the deck is stacked against us, we know that there's nothing we can do about our status quos or our problems that are bigger than us, but we also feel vigilant and need to be informed, which makes us more crazy, because the only thing the only thing you have control over is what you know. And if you know more, it gives you some semblance of power. And so as a result, you just get fed into the doom scrolling of it all, where you're just like, this is what's going on and this is what's going on. And all I know is that I know nothing and I have no power. And it's like, that is the news. So that's a problem. But also it is, the news has been carefully engineered over the last 100 years to be a product and a thing that competes with movies, TV, comic books, and video games and radio. So, okay, so let's say you want to be like a well-informed citizen of your nation. You pay attention to the news, and of course, because you're on one side or the other, because there's no nuance left, you don't trust one particular source of news, so you have to take in a variety of news. So how the hell many hours in the day is that dedicated to? And then you gotta relax. What are you gonna do to relax? Well, you can play a video game. Those things only take 150 hours to complete, and it's gonna take all your time and money, of course, because nobody owns anything anymore. So your video game subscription fee. But you know what? I'm saying, to take a break from a video game, that's kind of stressful, because everybody online is insane and screaming epithets at me, and it reminds me of the news and it makes it crazy. So I'll watch some TV. Okay, well, there's a million different streaming services, and they're all $20 a month, and they all are amazing, and I'm missing all of them because I don't have the one thing that everybody else that I've heard about is watching. So I pick something on that. You know what? Actually, I'll just watch The Office again. And so you're watching The Office again, and it's just like, so you and before you know it, you watch 10 episodes of The Office in a row, and then you got to go to bed, and then you remember that you're actually a comic book host, and you got to read some comic books. That is the world we live in, and it's like, the idea of being like, how can we make Star Trek good again? It's like so quaint by comparison, because it's just like, what do you mean? Like, why would you ever want to be in the entertainment industry? Because you're competing with literally everything. Oh, and don't forget, your biggest competitor is some 11-year-old being like saying something stupid on a regular basis 4 times a day on one of the worst surveillance apps ever created by man. So it's like, it's don't mean to get dour about it, but it's just like,
exactly. You're bumming me out, man.
I'm sorry, but like, but it's like, how can we get comic books to more people? How can we get comic books to more people? You mean the thing that's 22 pages at $7 that's sold at a boutique store that might be 100 miles away from your house?
You're killing me, Sal. Fantastic. Exactly. Yeah, I know, but come on. We're going to get more comic books.
We're going to get more comic books in the stores. And oh, by the way, the big two, 50% of the big two, I'm sorry, 51%, because technically Marvel is like more of the market share than DC, doesn't spend any money on marketing. they expect their creators to be the marketing team because everything expects everyone to be their own marketer. And it's like,
welcome to
hi,
Word Balloon. Exactly,
right?
man. They come over here and they come to you. They come to our shows.
These are
and
their
they come to our
options.
shows
Or they make their own
and God
channels
bless
and
them, you know.
Oh, thank God for that. But then again, don't forget that the audience doesn't give a crap about what the hell the writer has to say or the artist has to say. There's a niche for everything. They like this, but not enough. You know, like
No, I hear what you're saying, man. No, you're
scroll
right.
Instagram sometime.
We
Like,
represent a small sliver of the pie. I absolutely
it's so
agree
true.
with
I mean, like,
that.
you know,
I agree. Yes.
even in the spaces we're in, our competition is like, is a 20-year-old who's never read a comic book in their life taking a moment from the Red Hood and putting it in out of context and just showing you what happened and being like, did you know this happened? And that's it. 600 million views.
You know who's really good lately? And honestly, I've never met this woman. I beg your pardon. She is younger. And I'm not creeping on this person. But this Canadian kid, Casualty Comics, and she does these deep
Casualty Comics. Are you talking about Sasha?
Casualty, yes, Casualty Comics, exactly.
Yeah, she's great.
She's fantastic. And honestly, it is so great as someone that literally is more than 30 years older than her that she's enjoying the Silver and Bronze Age as much as she is. Because I was a kid reading that stuff and like absolutely loving it and really investing myself in that current soap opera. And she just finds the great, the fun of the cheese of it all. And that's terrific. No, yeah. All right. And Chem Dog agree. Here are a couple people. Yes, Sasha is her name. And people are loving Sasha. No, truly. All right. If any of you are regulars and they know you, you can let Sasha know. And I'll eventually email her, much like talking to Sal. Would love to talk Bronze Age and Silver Age.
Oh yeah, she'd be a fantastic resource. She's a sweet person too. I've met her a couple times, and she's
have you really? Nice. That's great, man.
Oh
that's
yeah, no. We're supposed to do something again really, really soon. We've been just playing.
Great.
We've been playing email tag for the last I don't know since November.
I'll ask you maybe to introduce me to her and everything. And
I will.
Nothing makes I love talking new comics, but like next week I'm gonna have Bob Rozakis on.
Nice.
The old DC Answer Man.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a blast because, again, I read his stories in the 80s and 90s or 70s and 80s. And I like talking about the Bronze Age and everything. I think it's a fun subject. So
absolutely. Yeah. It's still a rewarding and fantastic space. And occasionally someone really cool, make something special and unique in their own thing. That's what's so wonderful about the people that we associate with, the people that we admire, is that they make such uniquely exciting or interesting or insightful content that isn't just giving you some information, or it isn't there's a little bit of a fun color commentary on it, and there's a little bit of a fun nuance to it, or an insight that you would never have gotten. It's great. So
well, also, it's like movies. It's like movies and novels and things. And I mean, truly, I always appreciated those public television novel roundtables and film roundtables and stuff. And it really was my intent 20 years ago to go, hey, finally Hollywood's waking up to how good this source material is, and not only alongside Batman Begins, but like Road to Perdition being taken seriously. And exactly, man, and history of violence. And it's like, no, this stuff is good story material. Let's give these writers and artists the due that they deserve, just like our favorite filmmakers and novelists and stuff.
Man,
and
Road to Perdition.
Yeah, I mean,
Road to Perdition, I thought it was so close. I was like, Road to Perdition could be this could be The Godfather, not just because Conrad L. Hall or was it a Conrad L. Hall who was the cinematographer? Such a
Conrad
beautiful
Hall
shot.
Yes.
Yeah. That was their last. I think that was their last movie. I'm not sure.
Yes, it was. He. Why was he? Was he a bisexual gentleman that you're saying they?
Oh no! I just say it. Conrad L. Hall. I don't recall.
Because Gabe Hardman, when we do our movie podcast and we did Outer Limits, because he really did the first season of the Outer Limits TV show too, the old one, the black and white one. And he's a massive Conrad Hall fan and everything. But it was a smart gangster movie, really top notch all over the place. And thankfully, source material is Max Allan Collins. one of our best writers of the genre. And truly, I mean, and that's why I'm happy with him. He and my buddy Rob Burnett collaborated on an audio version of one of Max's Nathan Heller detective novels. Michael Rosenblum plays Nathan Heller. It's an all-star cast. Katie Sackhoff is in it. Anthony LaPaglia is in it. Wow. It's a wonderful, wonderful audio drama adaptation of one of Max's novels. And yeah, they got a great, honestly, A-list Hollywood cast. That's another thing. And I'm enjoying, I don't know how much you're listening to the audio dramas based on comic book stuff.
Yeah, I've caught them. It's definitely a good idea, and I fully support them. I read more than I listen to audio dramas, but like that Wolverine audio drama they did was such a good idea. Like, I've been advocating for this for years. I remember the first idea I had was after they canceled Firefly, it was clear they were never, and Serenity bombed. I was like, just make audio dramas for Firefly. It's already practically, like a spaghetti Western type of Star Wars, 30s serial. You could do so many like one-offs with just the cast, shooting from their home. And, instead they made a bunch of very disappointing comic books and and that's it, right? There's nothing else, but still, I love the idea of using audio, and especially like with the with the emergence of the podcast. This is a quaint concept. It's 26 years old, but the emergence of the podcast, it was like, oh, this is the way to go, man. Like not motion comics, audio.
Yeah. No, you're right. Susan Eisenberg, Wonder Woman, has done her share of audio dramas alongside of her animation work, and I think that's really cool. Also, oh god damn it, Marvin from Pulp Fiction,
Phil Lamar.
John Stewart. Yeah, Phil Lamar. Phil Lamar does a ton of audio drama.
Yeah,
and actually there was a great Moriarty that Audible put out, and he's the hero, and Sherlock Holmes is like this arrogant asshole, and it's Lamar playing Sherlock Holmes, and he was great.
That's cool.
It was really good. It was
that's
really
the thing that's so wonderful. Like I appreciate them getting, well, actually, the people you mentioned were all also voice actors: Katie Sackhoff, Rosenbaum, etc. Yeah. But it's such a wonderful opportunity for voice actors to share the spotlight. Couldn't care less about like whether about like the Minions casting or Mario movie where it's like look at all these celebrity names. Are you coming to see our animated feature because Zendaya's in it? Like I couldn't care less. Like tell me the Mark Hamill's in it, I'll suddenly show up. But like I want more voice actors and because they're better at it. They're better at the craft than a Hollywood actor who's just like, well, it's a slow year. So I guess I'll
Rob Paulson's going to be Paulson's going to be a terrific con again this coming year, and I'll bug Mitch to get Rob back on my show
because I love Rob.
When Titan AE came out, and it's Ben Affleck and it's whatever, and it's like I don't care. No. I don't care. Give me a good. The best example is I don't know if you're old enough to have remembered Jake and the Fat Man.
I'm aware of Jake and the Fat Man. I don't know.
All right. Well, the Fat Man was William Conrad, and William Conrad on radio was like Tom Hanks. And actually, that's not even a fair comparison because he wasn't young everyman. I always, again, you'll forgive the old Hollywood comparison, but I'm like on radio, William Conrad was like the Spencer Tracy of radio. Just this booming, unbelievably great dramatic voice that could be scared or the hero or the villain, and just amazing that way. And then he was the original Marshall Dillon from Gunsmoke.
Oh no!
And then they made the Gunsmoke TV show, and he was built like an ox, and the horse would probably collapse from the weight of him being on top of him. And so there was no way in hell he was going to do the TV show. And it's a shame, but again, yes, and ChemDog just said it. He's the OG Marshall Dillon, exactly.
There you go.
So that's funny. B Thing says just because Robin Williams was a good voice actor doesn't mean everyone will be a great.
So
voice
true.
Actor.
Robin Williams was he was a treasure. He could do anything.
Yes.
He's so great. I actually just saw a great blooper. I'm constantly pushed these, but it's the same blooper I've seen 1,000 times. I'm sure everybody else has seen it, and it's just it's a compilation of Sesame Street bloopers where Robin Williams is working with Elmo, and Elmo calls him by the wrong name. It's so fun. He's so delightful. I know.
What a loss. I know what a loss. He was incredible to watch.
Yeah. Oh, somebody, King of New York reminds me of those Ghibli films. That is smart celebrity voice casting. Like Pattinson as the Heron in Boy and the Heron is transformative, completely different. Like you would never know, but like I've never seen a better performance from Kirsten Dunst than in, I want to say, Kiki's Delivery Service. Like it's just so many but also side by side with Tress MacNeille, who is like 99% a voice actor.
Yes. No, Futurama.
She's Dot from Animaniacs. She's everybody. She's the news lady from Futurama. She's 17 other.
Yes.
She's the old lady in Futurama. She's the
well, she's the modern June Foray, the same way that Paulson is the modern Mel Blanc.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's yeah, I agree with you.
So
no, that's cool.
You could find him. I could always pick Paulson's voice though. Like during the 90s, anytime he was doing anybody, I was like, there he is. That's him. Which is why I was so confused in Fight Club, where I'm like, why are they talking about the voice actor? And then it turns out they were, but like it was a throwback. They were like, nobody knows who Robert Paulson is. I'm like, well, then I guess I'm the big nerd in the chair.
I do.
The big nerd that like Animaniacs or Tiny Toon Adventures is making fun of. But I was
fantastic. One of the hippest movies, and nobody knows. I do.
Yeah, I'm very aware of who that is. But yeah, Robert Paulson. Yeah, you could pick him out immediately. He played Hydro Man in the Spider-Man cartoon show, and I love that. Apparently, like I'd heard this story second, third, fourth hand. So forgive me if I'm wrong. And Rob, come on the show and we'll hash it out. But I'd heard that they had. Like there was a plan for Paulson to play someone else, or that they had a different plan for Hydro Man, and then by the time they got him in the booth and they had the script ready, Hydro Man was like practically a domestic abuser, and was like, he's like, no, they're like, we hired you to dramatically act, and so there's no humor whatsoever in Maury Bench. And it's like, but it's Paulson. He's like, well, I'm a professional and I'm doing it. And it's just like, it's a revelation for Paulson's voice work. It's just like, because everybody in that show, you know, like they said yes to every single S&P note that was possibly available. I imagine that when they got the notes back, they were like, and here's a couple other concessions that you didn't have written down. Like that's how neutered the Spider-Man cartoon show from '94 was. But that's how it feels when I was watching it. Spider-Man throws.
I love this because honestly, I felt too old to watch it and was excited for the hobby that it existed, but no, really not good.
No, it's a great. It's they wanted it to be like Batman the Animated Series,
right?
But more serialized, like everything tied in with each other. It wasn't, but the voice acting is really, really good. I'd say it's better than X-Men, like in terms of the amount of effort that was put in, especially with the restrictions that are clearly involved in that show. But Christopher Daniel Barnes plays Spider-Man. He's amazing. I don't think
Ed Asner, right? Was
Ed Asner's J. Jonah Jameson. But you know, other luminaries of the period. I want to say, what's her name? Jennifer Hale played Felicia Hardy. You know, etc. Just in case, Abe Vigoda, I believe, was in it. I don't remember who he played. I want to say it was Scorpion. He played Scorpion.
Hilarious.
But what they conceded in with terms of content, Spider-Man throws exactly one punch in that show in the entire lifespan of the show. That's what we're talking about here. But they make up for in voice acting. And when I say that, I mean like they are swinging for the fences on that one. Like it's been memed to hell, but like there's the reason why people think that the symbiote costume makes Spider-Man aggressive and angry is from that cartoon show. And a lot of ideas from the movie Spider-Man 3 are clearly from that cartoon show. And I want to believe it's because they were like, I don't have time to read these comic books. Like here's a couple of 22-minute episode cartoon shows. This will give you the rundown of what it is, because so much of like what Venom is ripped straight from that cartoon show, etc. Like the idea of Eddie Brock working for the Daily Bugle at all, or you know, the symbiote relationship and all that stuff, it's all from that cartoon. But
oh wow, well that's what happened. That's what happened with the Superman radio show. influencing the comics.
Exactly.
We got Kryptonite from the radio show.
I want to say the Fortress is also from the radio show, but I don't remember. But I know Kryptonite is from the radio show. It's just like, yeah, it's funny how like what will influence it and what will work. And also clearly the Spider-Man animated series from 94 is also an action figure commercial because Avi Arad was intimately involved, and the Toy Biz figures were ready to go. But everybody's doing a great job. I think Ed Asner is like one of the best J. Jonah Jamesons. Like I think J.K. Simmons is the best on-screen J. Jonah Jameson. Ed Asner is the best voice for J. Jonah Jameson, and that includes J.K. Simmons in the cartoon shows.
Because he was Lou Grant. For over 10 years.
Exactly. From him on the Mary Tyler Moore show. It's like, who else we got to cast?
Absolutely, man.
I can't think of anyone else.
I guess Martin Landau was.
Martin Landau was
Scorpion.
Scorpion. Thank you. Ava Goda was in it. You're right.
So I don't. Was he maybe Shocker?
No. Jim Cummings was Shocker.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. The point is, stacked cast.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, again, I really think Mr. Freeze became cool again because of the animated series and Michael Ansara in that Heart of Ice episode. I mean, the pathos that was never there for Mr. Freeze. Never.
Yeah.
Trust me.
No, that show invented him. Like that show invented Mr. Freeze. Again, that's I'd say that the better comparison is the Superman radio show is to Superman's culture as the Batman animated series is to Batman. Like that show is unparalleled. And it's funny because that first season, such perfection came out of that show. And there were so many episodes brilliantly and beautifully animated by a studio that basically bankrupted itself to make Heart of Ice and other episodes just like it. There's an amazing one. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but it's the one where there's no supervillain.
Wait a minute. When did Warner Brothers bankrupt itself?
Oh no. Just like the idea was that they farmed out the animation to different animation studios. And so that's why like episode to episode.
That's why it changed from the original look.
Yeah, like different studios. Well, okay. So really quick.
No, I love this.
When they made the animated series, Bruce Timm had a Bible of like what the characters looked like and everything, but they farmed out episodes to different animation studios to produce those episodes. And so that's why like some episodes look more like Mask of the Phantasm and other episodes looked a little goofier. I think I Have a Batman in My Basement is a little like looser. It's not as polished, but then there's other episodes.
That first season looks more like a Disney cartoon than subsequent seasons. So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. And season 3 is where Bruce Timm had altered the character models to be more streamlined, to work with one studio. And but that's why season 3 is, and it also was to match the Superman animated series and that style. And so it's like, you can see the first 2 seasons of Batman animated series are much more like, anything could happen. You could, but there were some things that were fundamental. I mean, obviously the design of Alfred and Batman and Robin and all the stuff, but like in terms of animation specifically, some of it's a little more fluid. Like there's a Batgirl episode, the I want to say first part of Two-Face. There's an episode of the Clayface episodes, like his first appearance in that cartoon is all the same group. Like the group that made the Clayface episode is the group that made that one Batgirl episode I'm thinking of is the group that made the Heart of Ice episode. And they were so like nothing looks like that. No show, no movie has ever looked like that. And part of the reason is because it's more or less unfeasible. And they basically bankrupted themselves.
Wow.
To make those episodes look that good and then just weren't able to make anything else.
Have you ever seen from the 70s, late 70s, I'm pretty sure, maybe it was 80s, Rock and Rule?
Rock and Rule?
Yes.
I know exactly the movie you're talking about. I have never seen Rock and Rule. That is 83, and I want to say,
is
it Mice People?
Well, yeah, they are anamorphic. Okay. And Debbie Harry is in it.
Oh, cool.
And sings in it. And I mean, it's a very impressive list of rock stars making the soundtrack. It was a Canadian company that made it, and it bankrupted itself because it cost like $1 million and didn't make 20,000 in the box.
Exactly.
So no, you're right about. And of course, Fleischer bankrupted itself with the Gulliver travels film that is kind of a classic. I remember being a little kid and seeing it on like Sunday afternoon theater, and it's like, yeah, watch this great animation thing that really put the Fleischer Studios in the toilet, and it did.
I was one of those people. I remember seeing that, like, because I watched a lot of TV as a kid, as you can probably imagine, and
you and I both.
Well, and my dad is an old guy, and so he was like, everything that was on television was vulgar and terrible. So like, I watched a lot of like what he thought was okay. Thankfully, my mom was not, and so she was like, he has to watch he's like, this Simpsons show is the death of America. My mom's like, he has to watch The Simpsons. He can't be weird.
The only kid, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I did, and I loved it.
Way to go! Here's for the cool moms, everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
We're not going to raise a dork. No.
Yeah. Oh, we did, but no,
only in the Sal, we won.
Yeah, we did.
Honestly, I don't know how many unnerdy friends you have that you grew up with that you're still close with, but all of them are like, hey man, we knew that was your thing and that's fine, and it never interfered with our friendship. That said, you won. And it's like, because this is the modern American escapism culture, is all the shit we love.
Yeah, that's true. You know? And you know, they want to know, like what I knew. There's a kid in high school who I will not name, just because he doesn't need to be on blast, but he was a football player and really nice guy, like was always very like pleasant, you know, wasn't like, I don't want to use like labels like jocks and nerds and stuff like that. I wasn't in the nerd space. I was a theater kid, as you can probably imagine.
Okay, sure.
But I wasn't smart enough to be a nerd. I was like, oh, if this essay were about Batman the Animated Series and the different types of animation studios there were, I'm your man. If you want to know what happened in the War of 1812, I'm sorry. Also, I am bad at math. But like, but this kid was a football player, and he hung out with like that crowd, like mostly the sports crowd, but like the town I went to school in was very sports oriented, particularly for football, and like a lot of money was allocated to that space. And you know, just like as a result, socially speaking, it was like, these are the people, these are the beautiful people. They're not in charge, because like, what are we going to put them in charge of? But like, you know, they're the big shots. They're the B-Mocks. And this kid was one of them. And I want to say senior year, when we were all kind of like wrapping up, and it, like, you know, classes weren't happening because why are we bothering? You know, we were just milling around and hanging out, and there was this understanding, like, oh, you know, these people that I never talked to or I didn't hang out with, I'm never going to see them again, but I saw them every day. You know, like I saw them every day for 5 days a week for 4 years, and I never really said more than 10 words to them. And he came up to us. And he was like, hey man, listen, like, we didn't really talk. And I was like, yeah, I know, it's true. And he was like, you know, I really admired that you like went up on the stage, and like, I saw like how you guys interacted, you know, because we were big dorks, you know. It was like theater and also like board games and video games and like comic books to some degree. I really didn't. I left comics around my freshman year of high school. I dropped comics pretty much cold turkey.
All of us did, man.
We had to. What else am I gonna do? I'm not gonna be reading comics in the cafeteria. I'm gonna get my ass kicked.
We wanted to date girls.
And you know what? It was worth it. But so that's a lesson for you folks out there. But like, no,
those are the old days, everybody.
But I was still a big dork. It didn't help me socially, but I did date the other nerd girls. And so this guy comes up to me and he's like, I really admire that you guys like went up on stage. Like I always wanted that confidence, and I always wanted that like fearlessness that you had. Like you don't pretend to be anyone else. You except when you're playing a character, but like you don't like you're not putting on a facade. Like you're being authentically you. And I'm like, look, I don't even know who I am. I'm still trying to figure it out. And he's like, yeah, but like you're letting yourself do that. And I always wanted that, but I never felt that I could, because I was part of this other like space. And that dude went like in the other direction, you know, like I think, I don't remember if he went to college. I know you know, everyone was going to in that space, but like I want to say he's like an art curator now. Like he went in another direction. He was like, I'm not like, I spent 4 years before, maybe 14, you know, for all we know. But like this kid, he's like, I spent most of my life being something that I wasn't, watching other people have fun. And I'm not going to let that happen for the next lifetime. And
Wow.
that kid is way
Good for him.
smarter and more well-adjusted than I am, certainly. And I didn't give him a hard time. I was like, that's really cool. Thank you very much. You know, I felt like the B-mock at that point. Cause I was like, well, I'm glad that I could show you the way, son. But it was really like, I would like to shake his hand because it was very much a lesson for me, to be like,
isn't that great?
Because that kid needed to have guts to say that, like to admit that and to recognize it and to, because I know, so many people as you live and breathe who lead their lives by fear. They're afraid of what could happen, what couldn't happen. They're afraid of, what's out there outside their door, not leaving their house. They're afraid of challenging themselves. And this kid could have easily just been like, I'm so afraid to be myself, or to try something different, or to be not accepted by the people who I'm told I'm supposed to be with, that I'll just be something I'm not until, I marry someone who I'm not supposed to be with, just like all these things. And that kid at like 17 saw that. Like, that kid was way more mature than I was at that point.
That's an amazing story, seriously, man. And I admire people like that as well,
right?
that recognize that they need to be happy and they can make the change themselves.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people that I went to school with who are still friends that went with the flow, did what they were supposed to do, but were never happy.
Yeah.
And some succeeded, made a lot of money, and some didn't. But I know even in both cases financially that they're not happy. Yeah, you're getting a lot of praise for that story. So
thank you. Well, I appreciate it. I say it only because like I hope one day he watches me, but and lets me know what's going on, with him. But more importantly, because like it's never too late to be yourself. It's never too late to like say yes or why not to being you and to like living your life the way that like you want to, or at the very least not saying no to fear. And that was inspired by our conversation earlier about God knows what. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But in this case, it's just like, he was what you wouldn't expect. When he came up to me, I was like, I don't know what this kid's going to say to me, because I had an expectation of who he was and what his whole worldview was. And he blew my mind. And, so that's a lesson I think that is harder to recognize in today's world, certainly, than back then. Back then, that's like an after school special. You could have thrown a rock and heard a story like that made up by the luminaries of Hollywood. But nowadays it's like so hard to admit you're wrong, or to admit that you're like scared, or to admit that you don't want what you said you wanted. Like, there's this weird thing. I remember as a kid hearing the term, and I know it's like an old school term. My mom was a lobbyist actually, but like she was very politically motivated or minded. And so I heard the term flip flop a lot. And they're like, well, this person, you can't trust him because he's a flip flopper. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And they're like, well, he says one thing and then he gets more information and then he changes his mind. And I'm like, isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? And they're like, yeah, but he does it too many times. And I'm like, but shouldn't you be doing that all the time? Like, shouldn't you always be getting new information and always be adjusting to become better? Like, and they're like, yeah, no, actually, in order to succeed in politics, you need to be intransigent. You need to just be one thing all the time. And it's frustrating because, like, also just to tie it in with our spaces here, it's like with YouTube, like you have to be one thing. You got to do this one thing. If you change or deviate or move or argue or suggest something else, forget that, because your audience is expecting you to be one thing, because culture has conditioned you to put yourself in a pod and be over here and curate your own little reality. And like, no, your story, your show, your channel is part of my reality. It's part of this thing I've created. If it deviates or changes, it might crack the bubble. And then what am I going to do? It's like, I don't know, maybe learn something or be better. But
Sal, honestly, the whole time in 2004 with John Kerry, I'm like, why isn't he standing up and saying, you're goddamn right, I'm changing my mind when I have more information? That I love that about Obama in 2008. One of the Fox News guys, I think it was Ed Henry, is like, well, you didn't answer right away when you took over and the economy was in the shitter. Why are you saying something now? And he's like, because I like to know what I'm talking about before I commit to an answer. Yeah. And it's like, yes, thank you. That's why I voted for the man. And
exactly.
And it's so easy to nip flip flop. And it's like, yeah, when we get more information, we should learn from the information and perhaps allow our opinions to evolve. It's not, oh, well, you said this yesterday. Yeah, because I thought the sky was green yesterday. They have now told me it's blue. I understand. It's like, yeah, this just in, so yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, it's
that's good. So,
and I don't even like, not even politically, just the idea of like
everything,
just having any opinion, and being like, well, I don't know about that. And it's like, dude, come on, man.
No, I'm up. And again, I try to stay true to my opinions. But by the same, like, again, bringing it back to Star Trek, I'm like, because Mitch asked me last week from Terrificon, he's like, is it possible because they've got 5 more episodes that you might change your mind about this show? I'm like, of course.
Right.
I'm like, I go every week of, well, maybe I like this one better. Maybe. And we'll see. And again, but I'll still say, if I still don't like it, I'll still say I don't.
I'm not going to pretend like I do. And that's my case with Spider-Man comics, because like I've always
to me.
I have such a problem with them all the time. And I like, even during the Nick Spencer run, I was like, this isn't what I want. And now it's like, geez, I'd give anything to have that back. But even then,
really, so no, you're not digging the Casey run right now.
He's doing okay. It's better than the Wells run, but like it has morphed into something else. Like, it's not like it's night and day. It's not like how disparate and different and nuanced the Daredevil runs are, where it's like, boy, say what you will, but like the last run on Daredevil, I think it's Ahmed was writing Daredevil.
Yeah.
Is not what Zdarsky was doing. And it's like,
that's why Stephanie's coming in March. Sure.
It's going to be a very different kind of Daredevil book.
Yes.
But like the Spider-Man books are all the same level of bad. And that's, obviously because of the people in charge, but like, I'm always willing to give it a shot because the character's so old and there have been so many different stories and, there's so many different writers and creators on it. And it's like, like even during the period when you loved it, there was another Spider-Man title that was either better or worse than the thing that you loved when you were reading it, if you were reading it at any point before the Brand New Day, when they condense all the titles. But like, I don't, when I say I'm frustrated or I don't like the book, I don't like it now, but it doesn't mean that like I'm done reading Spider-Man forever or that it can't change next month.
Sure.
And so because we do a review show every week, and
of course.
Sometimes I'll pop in and be like, oh yeah, and I read Amazing Spider-Man and it's awful. And people are like, why are you reading this if you don't like it? I'm like, I'm not reading it every month or every 2 weeks or whenever the hell it comes out. I read it periodically, and sometimes I'll read it like for stretches, and then I go, I know where this is going, I don't need to read this. And then sometimes I'll be like, well, I got to check back in, see how this is going, especially when it's a new writer. Kelly is a great writer, and sometimes Spider-Man is actually pretty interesting, but even then it's like there's something wrong with it. But of course you're like, Torn, friggin' Babylon 5 creator J. Michael Straczynski's writing it, like, and he wrote a great run, but even then there are some bad ones, like the bad runs or stories in JMS's run, like Skin Deep or One More Day or
Times Past. The
right.
Gwen's Kids.
Oh yeah, Since Past. Yeah,
that was past.
Horrendous. Yes. And I don't. Yeah, actually, I think I dislike most of the run. But he's one of my favorite Spider-Man writers because of how his run made me feel when it was like working. When it was working, it was working amazing.
Spider-Man 500, when Uncle Ben, when Doctor Strange conjures Uncle Ben, and he's like, "You're doing fine, son." It's like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was Happy Birthday it's arguably the top 3 best Spider-Man stories of all time, or single issues certainly of all time.
And
by the way, it's written by it's funny. I was actually I think, have they announced who's writing the Marvel Superman Spider-Man? Like, can I talk about that?
Yeah, Brad. Yeah,
okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. People are like, what? Like, why?
Because it's Brad. Why?
But like it, you could get Slott or Bendis or JMS or anybody.
Yeah, of course.
Why Brad Meltzer? And I was like, because he wrote one page of a Spider-Man story that's better than the last 2 runs of Spider-Man.
Is that in 1000? Is that in
Yeah, I think it's in
Yeah.
it's 1000.
Sal, he's a very, very good friend of mine. I happened to meet him at the right time in 2006 during his Green Arrow run. Yeah. And we both, and I mean, he's a massive comic book fan, so we both liked each other right away. And I was so proud of him and happy for him. I have never read that page in Marvel 1000. I will, and it was weird timing in terms of, I was telling you off the air, I think we were off the air when you're like, hey, your voice is back, and I'm like, yeah, I had all these great like newsy things, and it's like, all right, I'll talk to Brad Meltzer. It'll be fine. But I emailed him because of his new novel, because he's got a great new novel as well. And I'm like, hey, let's talk. He's like, wait a week. There's going to be a big comic book announcement, and then we'll talk. And sure enough, that day he texts me. He's like, see? And I'm like, all right, when do you want to talk? He's like, how about tomorrow? And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess we'll do it then. And it was great. And I loved it. But no, and I'm thrilled because look, Brad's one of us. And I mean, everything. I loved his Buffy run. Anytime he gets to touch mainstream ideas, Brad is a fan. He knows what he's doing. And I've loved his Superman stuff that he's done. I loved all his DC stuff, Identity Crisis and all.
Yeah, me too.
And the Green Arrow. And so I'm like, I am down for this, and he gets it. And then of course on the DC side, we got Wade, and you don't have to worry about Wade because Wade's the same way.
It's funny because like I love Wade. Wade can do no wrong unless it's Peter Parker. Like I was like, okay, you know what? I'm sure it'll be great. I don't like his. I think Wade doesn't like Peter Parker. Like, oh,
that's really interesting.
Like by the way, I get that because like because I love Peter. Like I think Peter is like one of my favorite characters in fiction, and I understand him as a person. But I think if I knew him, I think he'd be a grade A asshole because like he is a lunatic. Like because Peter is quick to anger. He is more willing to forgive himself than he should be, and it's funny because he claims he isn't, but he will still do it. You know what I mean? Like he will brush off people who matter to him, and he's like, I hate to do it. And I'm like, if you did, you wouldn't do it. Like there's a lot of like Peter Parker that's like he is kind of a jackass, especially if you read like all of it. Like from when he's a teenager, he's a libertarian jackass. When he's in the 70s, he's like, oh, I'm hot. Well, then F everybody. Like he's kind of a braggart. In the 80s, he's just kind of like tired. In the 90s, he is married and happy, but also there's the Clone Saga to consider. And then the 2000s, he's like, I don't know what I am anymore because editorial won't let me be interested.
Fascinating. That is fantastic.
He's an interesting character, but
I've never, this shows you the difference in depth. This is you and me with Star Trek on the opposite way.
Exactly.
So I understand this, and I love this. I never heard the decades broken down that way. It's like, yeah, I see that. I
don't think about it too often, but like it's when it comes to Peter, like I think Mark Waid loves Superman. Obviously he does. And I think it's because he needs Superman. Like I think, he's like if Mark Waid isn't a religious man, Superman is his religion. I don't know Mark Waid personally. So like, but from what I've gleaned,
I think he would agree.
Yeah, right.
Without getting too ecclesiastic about it.
Exactly. But with Peter, I think Peter is very human, and I think that I think Mark is similar. Like where he's like, I don't think Peter is a good guy, or like if he's I don't know. Every Spider-Man story I've read by Wade, I don't like it. and it's like, it's not, and obviously it's not story structure. Like because I've thought about it. I'm like, I love Mark Waid. He's doing another Spider-Man story. Here we go. And I read it. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like,
that's awesome.
Family Business, House of M. Like there's all these different stories. I think he wrote something during Brand New Day where I was like, okay, well, obviously I read Mark Waid's story. I don't know what it is, but
interesting.
And it's funny because like you can tell he needs like gateway characters for certain characters. Like Superman, he's like, I know what Superman would do. I got it. With Batman, he's like, Dick Grayson's got to be there. Otherwise, I don't want to have anything to do with Batman. Like you could tell he's like, Dick Grayson's my gateway. He's my entry point for Batman. Outside of that, I don't want to write about Batman. With Spider-Man, there's nothing. He doesn't have like a favorite.
That's so funny because I liked when he and Rucka co-wrote the Punisher Spider-Man Daredevil story that they did.
Did he really?
Yeah, it was like 15 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that series. I didn't read it. I have it. I've never read it.
And again, I appreciated it because they both felt they learned from each other. Like, Frank Castle's the last character that Mark Waid would be interested in writing. And Greg really showed him a way in. And it's like, that's cool. I mean, right now, Wade's doing it with Flash with Cantwell. Yeah. And it's so, there's another new voice to comics, but certainly not to writing. Halt and Catch Fire, one of the most amazing television shows ever, does not get the credit beyond the critics that it deserves. And it really was an exceptional show. But I loved his Challengers of the Unknown from last year. Sure. And what he and Mark are currently doing on Flash during KO is really fun. And it's really, really good. And Cantwell gets these guys and I love his Marvel stuff. Dr. Doom and what was the other one that he did? He did Dr. Doom and he did Iron Man. Did a great Iron Man.
Yes. Yeah, I liked his Doom book a lot. It's funny because like thinking about that run or those interpretations, Waid gets Matt Murdock a lot better.
Oh, absolutely. It was a great
Wade's run. Daredevil is second to none. His Spider-Man's where it falls apart.
That's really interesting. I'm gonna have to go back. I do. It's Star Trek, Star Wars for me, where I do love Spider-Man, but not as much as I love a Superman. Absolutely. I mean, I'll admit I am.
Funny because that's me too. Where I'm like, I appreciate Superman. Superman for me is like he could be a religion. Like he's my kind of like cultural icon. But I always go back to Pete. Like this kid from Queens that like, and by kid I mean like 30 something, right? He's got to be in his 30s, people. But but I like Peter a lot. I've been there the whole time. Like I follow his adventures. It's like but
we never talked about the Paul of it all and Mary Jane.
Yeah, Paul. It's funny.
Yeah, tell me. How was that annoying? Was that talk to me about that whole
thing? Very annoying, but it's like it's emblematic of a larger problem. Like Paul is not a character because they don't even know what Paul looks like. Like when Ramita's drawing him, he looks, like I don't know, like Peter with a beard. When
hilarious.
There's another issue where he's like he has a knot top and he's kind of built more bigger. There's another where he's huge. Like they don't know what Paul looks like because they don't care because it really doesn't matter. Like Paul's there to instigate the audience.
Yes,
I had a pet theory about Paul that I will never shut up about, which was that I think if Zeb Wells was allowed to continue with Spider-Man, I think Paul was Peter. Like I think Paul was either Peter from like an alternate future. Like remember that? Did you watch Futurama a lot?
Sure, of course.
Do you remember the movie?
Yeah, Future Fry. Yeah, Future Fry.
I think he's Lars.
Yeah, Lars. I think, exactly.
Yeah, I think Paul is Lars. Like where it's like it's Peter from the future with a beard and like altered skin tone. Like I think that was their way of doing it because I think people are weird, like and precious. Like I just spent like 20 minutes talking about how much I love Peter Parker like as a person, but like I think people are weird where it's like, and it's odd. You look at like Ultimate Spider-Man or the main series Spider-Man where it's like Peter like. Editorial, everybody wanted to see Peter Parker like in more relationships, right? And they were like, "Oh, remember when he was with Mockingbird? What an interesting relationship that was." Or when he like tried to date Ms. Marvel and that didn't go anywhere. And Black Cat occasionally, but we don't know what to do with Felicia, so they're weird. Like, it's all weird. Or like Carly Cooper, or all these other characters, and they don't work. Meanwhile, what's Mary Jane doing? And it's like they very rarely show you who Mary Jane's with. And occasionally they will. Like Dan Slott was never afraid to show you who Mary Jane was with because like I think Dan Slott has a problem with that character, but like, but I think that there's like I think the audience would lose it. Like if you saw Mary Jane happy with another person, I think the audience would honestly freak out.
Absolutely.
And so I think that Paul and the evidence is Paul, where it's like she has children with Paul, and then it turns out those children were like fake and they evaporated into nothing. But like, I really thought Peter or Paul was Peter, which is also because of the joke, the Peter, Paul, and Mary of it all. Like I think that was like deliberately put in there to make you think of that. Like, but I think Wells is smart enough to think like the audience would never accept Like they would demonize Mary Jane because they like feel like you're cheating on me, basically.
Right.
And
of course. Yes.
Right. And so I think that the only way that they would get like the audience back is by having a reveal like Paul is actually Peter. She was never actually with anyone else at the time. So that's why I had that like that.
Shame on me, because a lot of times, and you might do it as well. It's, oh, okay, I'm talking to Josh Williamson. All right, and I know he's a good friend of yours.
Yeah.
All right, I got to bone up and like cram the last 6 months or whatever to catch up. And truly, I have left Spider-Man because the last time I had to talk about it was with Joe Casey in August when I had a panel with him at Terrificon. And nice. I love Joe. And Joe's awesome. Not Joe Kelly, rather. Joe Kelly.
Yeah.
And so, no. And again, I'm like every intention of getting back to it. So it's Paul, because what I loved was, and I did read it either in Kelly's book or in Al Ewing's Venom.
It's Al Ewing's. Joe Kelly's smart enough. Paul isn't anywhere near that series.
Well, that makes sense. But what I was going to say is, I love the scene with Peter and MJ, and she tries to make up with him, and he's like, "No, fuck you."
Well, what's funny about that is that isn't even Peter.
That. Huh?
That's not even Peter. That's so funny.
Well,
that's Ben Reilly pretending to be Peter. So it's even more weird.
That's insane.
Yeah,
and I love that happened.
But I bet they did it.
Is that in Al's book? Is that in Al's book?
No, that's in Kelly's book.
That's in Joe's book. Okay.
Yeah. That was the only thing that was in Joe Kelly's book. The only reference to Paul is that like she and Paul broke up and she's been on now.
Yeah, Ben said shuts down MJ.
Yeah, he's like, get it. You deserve each other. Bye. Slam.
Exactly, which I loved, because truly it's like, it's finally every now and then Parker has a spine, and it's like,
yeah,
something. Fuck you, life. You're wrong, and I'm not going to take it this time.
Yeah.
I
don't have any patience for whatever the hell this is supposed to be, which is a fair point, especially with that Venom book.
That's Peter every now and then.
Yeah, and it's like, what? That is Peter. It's Ben, but it's still Peter, same guy.
Of course, definitely.
The Paul of it all is just like, I think Paul is there as like a kind of like rage bait. Like I don't regard Paul as a character.
He's an obstacle. He's an obstacle.
I assume he'll be killed. Like I assume that Carnage will kill him in the big crossover.
Or go bad and become a villain.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, the smartest thing to do is to have him evaporate like the kids. Like because once you introduce these characters, like that's the problem with modern comics, and by modern I mean the last 25 years, is that like the people who make comics today don't think about the permanence of the things they're making. They're thinking about the impact they're having for their careers or on the world that they're so excited to impact. And I remember like Jim Zub and Josh Williamson, many people have said out loud, and it's a fair point. They love creating characters. And I know those Zub specifically said like it's addictive. Like once you make one and it sticks, you want to make more. You want to add to it. You just want to build. And it's like that's wonderful. And I understand the impetus behind it, but you also have to be careful about what you're about crowding the space and about the impact you're having on that space, because it isn't yours, because you are a steward, because you're not going to be there forever, but the character will, and the world you're making is. And Marvel's very precious about the fact that it is one continuity. So it's like it's not, if you kill a character, like that's now part of the story, and obviously they're going to come back someday. So that story is part of their story now. And do you want that to be on the story? Like, do you want precious characters who are fun and beautiful because they're normal? Like, and obviously that's a joke too. David Michelinie famously created Jim Rhodes as a normal friend of Tony Stark, never wanted him in an Iron Man suit. First thing they did the second Michelinie's anywhere further away from that book, they're like, Jim Rhodes in an Iron Man suit, immediately in an Iron Man suit. Like, we can't wait. And all he wanted was for Jim Rhodes to be a normal guy. And it's like, no, we're never going to do that. So it's like, it doesn't matter what your intent is. They are going to do something else with it. But like,
you're right. Lana Lang becoming Superwoman, and then Lois becoming Superwoman.
Right.
It's just, like, no, they are important for who they are. I always said that about, it bummed me out in Born Again, and obviously I have a suspicion that Foggy is alive in season 2. But it's like, no, Matt needs Foggy. Matt does not need Foggy in tights. Matt needs Foggy. Matt needs a guy to go, hey, I'm your best friend and you're fucking up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I loved how even Clark and Jimmy Olsen, and especially Brian, and also Fraction, really kind of have matured up the relationship, but it's like, no, he's his friend.
Yeah.
And or God, what Wade is doing in action. I just talked to Mark last week, and that the Superboy Pete Ross thing. And it's like, no, Pete Ross is the most thankless guy and the greatest hero of the DC universe, because he's doing all this in service to Clark without Clark knowing that Pete Ross, this little guy from Smallville, has your back no matter when you need it, no matter what's happening in his life. I remember when Chuck Austin was writing it, and they all suspected Pete was some supervillain. And Chuck wrote this moment like, Clark, like, and really he's talking to Clark, and he's like, Pete, there's this villain, and it seems to a lot be like, and he's like, if you don't know the guy that I am after all these years, I don't know why we were ever friends. And it's like, yes, Pete Ross, ladies and gentlemen, Mike drop, so much better than the Smallville TV show. No disrespect to that actor.
What's so rare to get anyone that wants to do something with Pete Ross? Like, it's just he's such a great character, but also
he's nothing. He's
what are you gonna do with him, right?
He's this blonde Silver Age guy that God bless Alvin Schwartz and all of them that were writing back then. Leo Dorfman. It could have been Monel saying these lines as much as Pete Ross.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like he's a little superfluous. Like, does Clark Kent need another friend from Smallville? Like, we have Lana, but it's like, but also it does add that new, it enriches the world. It adds a little bit more. But as I was saying, like, but when you're creating characters and you're adding to the universe, sometimes you're adding too much, like sometimes a little too much. And, or you're like, slow your roll a little bit, you're crowding the space is my point. And like with Paul, it's like, it doesn't matter what happens to Paul. Paul could be Venom. Paul could be Mephisto, but Paul will persist. Like, Paul is now part of it. Like, Paul will always be, and unfortunately because of the Martha jokes, will never be done. Like,
really, because I think eventually Paul will go the way of Ned Leeds, and you name any other Flash or anybody,
Glory Grant, any number of Flash is Venom or Agent.
Well,
Venom,
I realize that now, but Flash was gone for a while.
Yeah, there was a window where like there, but yeah, I mean, like no one talks about like Katzenberg or Glory Grant or the werewolf she dated or like Roger, even Harry Osborn.
Yes.
And it's funny because like all Quesada wanted was to bring back Harry Osborn, and then it was like, oh, I don't have anything interesting to do with him. And it's like, of course you don't. He's been dead for years. Paul is Darkseid.
See, like Darkseid, sure is.
Sure, why not? But like, Paul is a rage bait device.
What do you think? Forgive me. No, finish your thought, and then I'll ask you.
Just Paul. All right. Paul's made for nothing. Like, he's not a real character. There was no intent behind him.
He's an obstacle. No, I think Well, and again, I would be as cruel as you, but yeah, he's an obstacle, and I'm with you. What about DC, dude? KO is blowing me away. It is because you and I both remember Countdown Arena.
Oh yeah,
that the bones are similar to KO, but what a shit show that was. And it's just like, this is pointless. I hope the artist is having a good time because there's no story here. Complete 180 with KO, a very complicated story, really interesting timing, and then all these crazy crossovers. I mean, I'm teasing with our title of this show, calling us a crossover, which we are, but also it's, I mean, I want to see Homelander fight Superman. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's true. The whole thing is, because you can't talk about KO without talking about Absolute, because they're all connected, which is another brilliant move. It's speaking to a moment in comics, in the audience's desires. I can't say that I saw it coming, but I'm fortunate enough to have been on the inside track about Absolute Batman and about the Absolute Universe, but like only insofar as its development and concept, not in the KO of it or the development of the universe or the plan or the publishing stuff. It was just like, I knew what Scott was thinking because Scott told me, but like outside of that, I was just like, I was like, if someone had pitched me, if a young new creator pitched me Absolute Batman, I've been like, I don't think it's going to work. When Scott pitched me Absolute Batman, I'm like, this is definitely going to work, especially if you team up with the right artist. And when he told me the artist he was thinking, I was like, that's a bad idea. And I was wrong. I'm happy to say that I was wrong because I didn't love, I didn't like,
I didn't like the design either. I thought it was too
the design I didn't care about. No, I was worried about it because I had been just recently like looking at Dragata's stuff on Marvel, which is a damn sight different from his work on Absolute Batman. Seeing the designs was what convinced me. Like
interesting.
When I saw them, I was like, this is going to work, and it's going to work well. Like this is going to blow up.
He reminded me of weird, like Yellow Submarine, the cartoon, like big giant, or even Terry Gilliam sort of art from Monty Python.
Yeah,
big giant body, teeny tiny head, and it's like okay, whatever. But again, the story, and I do like Nick's other work, and always have. I loved when he was. I want to say, wasn't it him and Hickman back in the day? Yeah,
yes, it was.
And I mean
that's good stuff.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, okay, I like Dragata. This is awesome. But it really, and then Scott's story totally sucked me in. I haven't talked to him in a while, but we did talk in the early days. And also, my God, what a giant powerhouse of a success. Oh, Jesus Christ. The top 10, is the current issue and several reprints.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
It's. I mean, God, the 11th printing of issue 1 was announced this week.
But so, it's tapping into a moment and a hunger from the audience and from people who want to be in the audience, like people who want to read comics or want to read Batman or it's New 52 done right. They figured it out. Like they cracked the formula. New 52 was throw the baby out with the bathwater, and that got a lot of people excited, and the news cycle was happy to pick it up, but it didn't last because it wasn't planned and it didn't have a good through line, and there was no cohesion, and it was too all over the place, and and of course too many effing books. But this was smart, calculated, and of course more importantly concentrated and creator focused. New 52 was like, look at who's going to do this. Maybe George Perez is going to do. Never mind. It's going to be this. Like just they didn't know what the hell they were doing. With Absolute, it's like, who's going to do this? Who's going to do this? And it's your and we're going to get this person because they're going to be given their story and a runway to do it. And it's working, and it's speaking to those audience members who are like who are conditioned for different reading habits. It's reaching it's reaching normal everyday comic book fans. I can imagine grizzled old school comic book fans are the only ones who are griping about it. And even then, it speaks to most comic book fans. The only ones who don't like it are people who are older and also have a really odd expectation. Like these are people that predate the Ultimate Universe, where it's like they don't know to expect that, universe over there.
You're right. No, you're absolutely right.
By the way, not to despair, I don't want to say I'm like throwing mud at older comic book readers. Obviously we're two of them. I'm just saying, like, young readers aren't like, what? They're like, finally something that I can claim ownership of.
Right, that I can start with at issue 1.
Yeah, and it's the same with and ironically, the most successful New 52 one was also written by Scott Snyder, but in a very different place. I keep saying, and I'm happy to give Scott these accolades, like where it's when it comes to Absolute Batman, this is the Absolute Batman book is Scott Snyder's Dark Knight Returns. And when I say that, I don't mean it is Dark Knight Returns. I don't mean like, despite all the homages that I don't think he needs to put in there, I mean that he's Batman now. Scott Snyder is Batman, and Absolute Batman is his catalyst to become the Dark Knight Returns. That sequence where Batman jumps Frank Miller's beautiful full page where he says, the rain is a baptism. I'm a man of 30 of 20 again. That's again. Scott is the new young Batman, or the Batman, again, he has the experience. He has the cachet. He's got the branding, and he has the youth or the fire that he needed to make.
No, he needed to recharge. I agree with you, man.
Yeah.
And it worked. And it's great. Yeah, and it's great to see them in a new universe where even a more radical change can flourish. And and it's really been fun talking to Kelly Thompson about Wonder Woman, talking to Lemire about Flash. Dennis Camp is the one I haven't gotten yet with Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter. Yeah, it's a great book, beautiful book.
And I forget who did Green Lantern, but I know I talked to Green Lantern too.
Yeah. That was Al Ewing, I believe, and Yehoni Lindsay.
Yeah, that's right. It was Al. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't also discount Josh Williamson's involvement with Scott, because the two of them worked together to launch the Absolute Universe and the DCKO plan and all that stuff. Despite the fact that Josh does not have an Absolute book, which I think is outrageous, and it's not because they're not letting him. I'm just saying.
But don't you? I mean, I suspect that one might be coming.
I would hope
to develop. Also, no, but you continue your thought about Josh, please.
But Josh is doing a great job, and Josh's insights are also it's like the perfect recipe that's working. Like, Scott is doing a great job with like being the Stan Lee, if we can use that analogy, and Josh is carefully behind the scenes helping to, like, you know, guide, and because they're both old school comic book fans, but Josh is like an old school comic book fan. Like, this dude.
Well, Josh clearly, because it sounds like, talking to Wade and the others, that Josh is essentially in charge of the all-in editorial. Kind of as a showrunner, if not editor, creative showrunner in some capacity.
100%.
Scott is for Absolute, but also the two being friends and being co-collaborators for years can talk to each other and exchange ideas. So that now when KO is converging the two universes and stuff, it makes sense, and it's intricate.
Yeah. And it's contained. It allows for tie-ins and supplemental stuff, but like, I don't know. It's firing on all cylinders. It's working really well. Everyone's excited and happy. The people who aren't don't need it. You know what I mean? Like, if you are just, if you're liking other books, you can read them. It doesn't really affect you, and that's what's so wonderful about it. That's why I'm like, it's New 52 done right. It's like, don't throw out the old universe. That's the one thing you have going for you. And when I say that, I mean, like, the part of the allure of DC is that it is old. It is the elder statesman of the big two. They have the classics.
Yes.
Don't throw it out.
Which exactly was the problem with New 52.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we don't care. It's like, oh, you don't care about that 75 years?
Right. And it's like, it's almost like this. It felt like a rejection / like, like resentment.
Also, the ideas that were presented in Flashpoint, I see a real symmetry to what Scott is doing and the others in the Absolute side, because Jason's Superman is so radically different in great ways.
Yes.
And I mean, that's the thing, man. And just like the Flashpoint Superman was a really radically different, interesting idea. Different enough from what Jason is giving us, but also alien in the same way that Jason's Superman is certainly more Kryptonian than Clark.
Totally.
I mean, and again, there's room for both. Even what Didio was telling me with 5G after the fact, they were interesting ideas, but I didn't want them to replace.
I didn't want any of that. I didn't want anything they were selling when it came to 5G, and I'm glad it didn't work out.
No, I understand. Are you paying attention to the licensed stuff from Mad Cave?
I am not. I should be. I really should be, because Mad Cave is, they've been doing a wonderful job with like their printings, and they're very, like, I know they're very creator focused and all that, but I'm unfortunately not as plugged in as I should be.
Well, again, a lot of those licenses are older shit, and my wheelhouse. And I mean, honestly, have been so thrilled to become friendly with Jeremy Adams over the last couple of years, as much for his DC work as his Flash Gordon work. And it's like, God damn, man, this is, or even my buddy Richard Ashley Hamilton, who I had on Wednesday night, and the times I've had Pepos on, and others, also Mark Russell with the Speed Racer license. And it's like,
that's right.
They're great stories. And, I mean, that's the great thing about the modern licensees, because I grew up in that 70s period, like when Charlton would get like the Hanna-Barbera license. And they looked like the cartoons, but they were shit stories. They weren't fun. They weren't funny, whatever. They looked, again, I don't know who was drawing this stuff, but they were on model. So that was cool. But that was about it. Yeah. Now, with the occasional exception, like you were saying about the Firefly comic books and things, God, I like IDW is killing it with their Star Trek books.
Yes,
it's better than the TV and the film product.
Easily. Oh, The Last Starship is so great. I read all the Voyager book. It's so good. The
Yeah, the Bridges, they're fantastic. They're a very nice couple. And that Voyager Homecoming was amazing.
You must be. I hope you're reading the Twilight Zone book because it's also fantastic.
Dude. Yes, honestly, Greg Katzman, the marketing guy at IDW, is like, "Hey, you like Star Trek? Do you like the Twilight Zone? Of course I do." So he sent me everything in advance, and oh my god, it is so good, and the art is so. I love the indie choice of these creators that they've gone to.
Yeah, no, IDW is really like, it's funny because IDW is always like, it's the butt of Rich Johnston's jokes every time, but like it is such a, like, they're doing really good work over there. And from Turtles to Trek, like they're really crushing it. I mean, like their Event Horizon book is something else. Like it's so much better than the movie.
That's cool. And their Godzilla stuff is fun.
Their Godzilla stuff is really ambitious. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different, and deliberate. That's another thing. It's just like, and there's no cut corners. It's not like it's a weak art but great story. It's all gravy. We're in a really interesting and great time.
I had Van Jensen on, and I'm like, Godzilla heist, and it's like, and then I read it, and I'm like, no, it works. Somebody, a safecracker is like, it'd be a good time to rob a bank when everybody's worried about Godzilla, and it's like, that is fucking genius. That is a good starting point for a story. So no, that's cool. How about any Kickstarters? Are you paying any attention to any creator-owned things via Kickstarter?
Not really. The only Kickstarter that I have in my purview right now, and it's not comic book related whatsoever, is the Rift Tracks MST3K revival. I'm backing it. I am so excited for it. I just talked about it on another podcast literally a few hours ago, and I just talked for an hour. And I'm not going to do it here, but I will say
no. You're going to have to spend at least a couple minutes talking about it, because I'm an OG MST3K fan. And I love Rift Tracks. And I haven't bought it yet, but I love that they recently did the Captain Marvel serial. And the first chapter of that is available on YouTube for free.
No kidding.
And I love those guys. And I love the original guys. I'm a Hodgson fan. I'm a Kevin Murphy fan.
Yeah.
All at Trace Ballou and of course Frank Conniff. But I do love Mike and the guys that Mike has assembled around him. So what's happened? Is this new thing working with the current people that are doing MST3K?
It's so interesting. So obviously, Joel and company had revived MST3K a couple of years ago, and they got I think 3 or 4 seasons out of it, and they put it on Netflix. The most recent Kickstarter that they had launched did not reach the goals they wanted, and there was like a kind of a blackout period where we didn't hear anything about it. Joel sold his interests in MST3K to Shout Factory, the company that distributes MST3K, and has for the better part of 30 years.
Yes.
So Joel is out. Joel is completely divested himself from MST3K. And upon hearing that, literally within a week or two of that announcement, they announced that Mike, Bill Corbett, and Kevin Murphy from Rift Tracks are doing 4 MST3K episodes with the original crew from the sci-fi era that they are from. Well, really the only change was Bill Corbett and Patrick Branskig and Bees McKeever. But it's those people, the crew that made the Sci-Fi Channel original MST3K seasons, are coming back to make 4 episodes of MST3K Rift Track. It's called Rift Tracks, like the Rift Tracks Experiment or something like that. And Kevin Murphy's playing Tom, Bill Corbett's playing Crow, Mike's playing Mike, and
who's
they're using
Bill Corbett's doing Crow.
Bill Corbett's Crow. There's no talk of Trace or Frank or anybody else. But Kevin's Mary Jo is coming back too. Yes, Mary Jo Peele is going to be back. She's going to be Pearl.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, she's wonderful. Obviously, but they're bringing.
I've loved Rift Tracks and Cinematic Titanic. Keep going.
Exactly. They're bringing back the original crew. They're doing a lot of they're doing all in-camera effects. They're shooting it in Minnesota. It's a whole thing. And it's for me, that is all. When Joel announced they were bringing back MST3K, I was like, you're not my host, but sounds cool. I hope it works out. I'll give to the Kickstarter. I did. I watched the first episode and I hated it. I did not like the new voices. I did not like the approach. I don't like Jonah. There's nothing about the new show that I liked.
Sal, I could not agree more. And I'm just going to stop you briefly.
Please, no.
They crammed too many jokes every 5 seconds.
You can't hear the story.
And exactly, and no room to breathe.
Yes.
And that's the great, I mean, take your time. Appreciate the silences that happen and those things. And also, I got nothing against cute little redhead woman from
yes,
Felicia Day. Yes. I have no bone to pick with her. But I have to admit, sometimes it's like it really isn't that much. But I guess since I started Word Balloon, Felicia Day has always been there, and it's like okay. And I would say the same thing with Jonah Hill. Jonah Ray, rather. Jonah Ray.
Yes, Jonah Ray.
Yeah. I like Jonah Hill as well.
But, sure, yeah.
But no, it's again, I appreciate that they're out there. I felt the same way about Matt Myra as well. I really do appreciate that they're out there. That said, they're getting more and I really, again, I feel like an asshole because I would certainly love half the jobs they've had over their careers.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's like I don't need you in this capacity. And MST3K, Patton Oswalt as well. I just don't need
played Frank's son. Inspired casting. I understood the math and all the decisions behind it. I think, but there were a couple of things that I also noticed about that show, which is funny. Like, if you watch a lot of MST3K, you'll notice that like all the mad segments and all the host segments, one take. They must have done like 100 takes per shot, but it's one take. They can't do it. So in the new show, there are cuts, and those cuts, there's one camera, so they have to just put a transition in for the same shot, and it's like you might not notice, but your brain will notice, and it's just they can't hack it, like they can't get that level
because the originals trained in local Minnesota television,
right,
where it had to be one take.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm so excited to learn that you're a Misty because I am as well. When I first interviewed Svengoolie at C2E2, and again, someone that grew up with Svengoolie, but also in the 90s, absolutely was into Mystery Science Theater 3000. I'm setting up to do a video interview with him. My friend at the time was my videographer. And all of a sudden, Joel Hodgson wakes up because he's on Autograph Row as well. And he goes, "Hey, man, can I talk to him for a second?" I'm like, "Of course. I know what's about to happen." And he pumps Svengoolie's hand, and he's like, "Dude, you have no idea how much your show meant to us growing up. Of course, we borrowed so much from you to inspire what we do." And Rich Coase, Svengoolie, and he's like, "Oh, no, that's great, man. I appreciate it." And it's like, that's the thing, man. These guys came from local TV, and there was this grassroots thing. And that's what I've loved about Cinematic Titanic and Riff Tracks is they don't need a goddamn cable station telling them, "No, you got to be like this, you got to be like that," or whatever. They could call their own shots. Yeah. And I love that. And I also love the community that they've built. Going back to send your postcards to the local Minnesota TV station and support us. And there are Misties that go back with them to the 80s and everything. I mean, so no, I adore these guys. And it's great to hear that they're doing this. So is it still active? Is the campaign
it started like less than a week ago. The first day they hit 100. They hit $1 million.
Of course they did.
Day one, $1.1 million. I'm hoping it gets further, but because really, I want, back in the day, I was conditioned to think like, oh, bring everything back and give me 100 episodes. But like at this point, like if they want to do 4, I'll take 4. But if they want to do 4 more, that's fine. But like honestly, don't overstep. Like don't overextend yourselves. Do just keep it copacetic. I don't want to be like I don't want to get burned out on something that I've always wanted.
I was never a Veronica Mars person, but I absolutely respect the cult that loved it. And I saw the movie, and I saw enough of the episodes that I could get the gist of the movie. And it's like, hey, that's great.
Yes.
That's wonderful. And there should be more of that. And I really hope for some dead IPs that those chances happen. My buddy Brian Volk-Weiss took Bikers from Mars and all these other goofy 80s comic properties and have them doing new comics at Oni and also developing new animation with this stuff.
Nice.
Why not? Why not? It's a good idea. good enough general bare bones thing. But Misty, no, it's this was the kind of radio sketch comedy that I grew up listening to and wanted to do and did in the 90s.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm going to kind of revisit it in a couple Word Balloon episodes, talking to people that have made audio sketch comedy. And the Misty guys did the same thing, just with television, and really translated that grassroots appeal to Comedy Central, to the Sci-Fi Channel, and only grew their audience as a consequence. But no, that's great. And it's cool that Shout Factory is the caretakers, because I think for being a video distributor, I think they're I've never worked for them or anything. Yeah, they get it.
They get it. Like
they sell. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the only reason why people didn't get any, like if there was ever any like hiccup or slowness in service or is because of the rights holders for the movies themselves. Like it was not like Shout Factory's like, look, I want to give you everything. I want you to have all these episodes, but the person who owns Soul Taker really doesn't like people making fun of Soul Taker, or whatever. I don't know. I honestly,
it's a good example, because I always ask. Again, I've become. There is a likelihood we're about a month and a half away from C2E2, and I'll likely do Svengoolie's panel again. But like Michael Landon's very first movie was I Was a Teenage Werewolf.
Okay, and
it is this goofy 50s classic that you never see anymore, because the old lady whose husband owns the rights, and now she does not want the movie mocked, does not want it other than revered for the kitschy 50s classic that was Michael Landon's first performance. And so they can't get it. They cannot get the rights to it.
Wow.
And it's interesting. Or certain movies, because of Mystery Science Theater, all those bad Sandy Frank import Japanese knockoffs like Time of the Apes and things like that, because of Misty, now, you're paying top dollar as opposed to the bargain basement Misty got those movies originally at.
Exactly, because if folks aren't aware, the reason why Mystery Science exists in the first place is because they that is to say, like people like Jim Malone and Joel Hoxton and company, they worked, or they wanted to work on television, and they ended up working for KTMA, and they had this idea for making fun of the movies, but they only had access to like the dog water movies that were available to like the local TV station broadcasters. So it's like the only ones they could afford the rights to were these awful like B movies. So they're like, this is perfect. We could use these and just make fun of them. And, so it's like, they never counted on people wanting to pay or, expecting, a payment for the license.
Right. No, this is the days of UHF television.
Yeah.
And especially if you were in a big enough market like the Twin Cities, here in Chicago, the same thing. It's like, no, we had like 3 or 4 UHF channels, even in the 70s and 80s, that, by the time you got to the 3rd UHF channel, they were showing the really shitty monster movies, the really shitty imports. And that's why. So I had watched a lot of their fodder as Saturday horror movies of the day. And again, lived through 2 different very big horror hosts, Rich Coase, Svengoolie being the second one.
Yeah.
And it's great that we're friends, and I love talking to him about the behind the scenes stuff just as much as his performance. And again, he has a great time. Or, God, man, in the 80s and 90s, and I did this on sports radio, we would parody songs and not think about them. Now, because everybody is litigious, when Rich does a parody song for Svengoolie, he has to pick either a public domain song or the 50s rocker Freddie Boom Boom Cannon, who did Palisades Park, has allowed Rich to use his catalog of 50s pop hits.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's like, I mean, I did Marv Albert yesterday when Marv Albert was in trouble with the hooker and all the charges. I took the Beatles Yesterday and I made it yesterday, and it's I did my Marv Albert. And it was I told you earlier, my mentor, my old radio mentor, had passed away a couple of weeks ago. And they're like, hey, we want you to play Yesterday. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like Elton John with Candle in the Wind. That's my memorial to this guy. This song about Marv Albert and sodomy. That's our memorial. God bless you, Terry Boris. Here's a story about Marv Albert going up the back end on somebody. Fantastic. Fantastic. Where do I sign?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
St.
That's
John
great.
over here. But anyway, yeah. So no, but I do. I love sketch audio, and I love local TV when it used to be able to take chances. That era's gone, and thank God for Svengoolie, and thank God for
Yeah.
Misty, because those are a couple places where it's accepted.
It's true. So yeah,
I'm
that's
excited.
the only Kickstarter that I'm aware of right now. Is just like, oh my god, they're bringing back my season of, or my crew of MST3K. I'm in.
So
and also,
no,
I love Rift Tracks.
no toys or anything like that, Sal. Would anything beyond superhero? Because I see toys right on your.
Oh yeah, these this is just like set dressing, but it's all like my stuff. Like just a couple of. There's a fun. I got my Beta Ray Bill over there. I got my whatnot of Tiffany, my wife. There's a lot of stuff. But as far as toys, like there's a beautiful Mondo Superman figure that's coming soon. That's like from the animated series. It comes with a little Lois that he carries. It's really cool. It's a gorgeous figure. We're playing a lot of this video game called Helldivers, and Dark Horse is coming out with a replica full-scale helmet from the Helldivers armor that you wear. Helldivers basically just Starship Troopers, but more successful financially from the video game side.
And underwater, obviously, with Helldivers.
Oh no! It's a spacefaring. It's a spacefaring, vaguely overtly fascist. America, the world first Super Earth is what they just literally renamed the Earth, called the Super Earth, and it's just Starship Troopers. It's just Starship Troopers.
I love it. Oh no, I love Starship Troopers.
Yeah, so it's just, but it's like we're out there to spread democracy by blowing the hell out of these people. So we've like taken over the galaxy, and every time we run into an alien race, we take over their planets and declare war on them, and so it's bugs that look a lot suspiciously like the bugs from Starship Troopers. They're fighting alien zombies and cyborgs that are.
Who's writing it? Who's writing it for Dark Horse?
Oh no! I wish they were doing a comic book.
Oh,
Dark Horse is making a helmet. Just they made the helmet replica for the standard stock suit, and so it's like, oh cool. Well, then I'll have to get one of those. But so these are toys that I'm ordering. But
no, that's cool.
Or I'm interested in.
I just didn't know if there were any action figures that
they're making. I know Sony's making a movie. They need to make a comic book. I'm going to text my friend.
That's the name of the movie? They need to make a comic book?
They need to make a comic book.
Is the name of the movie?
Oh, no. The movie's called Helldivers. They're making a Helldivers movie.
Oh, I see. Now
they should make a Helldivers comic book.
They absolutely should make a Helldivers comic book, because it sounds like it would be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So, especially Dark Horse, jump on that, man.
Right?
All right, let me email Daniel Shaban. I'll So, did I tell you about that? Did you see that about me this year at the end of the year? I forgive me, everybody, if you read this on Facebook or if I said the story before, but I'm catching up with Sal. And 8 years ago, I wrote the text for The Art of Michael A. Von Omen.
Yes.
Mike asked me, the editor asked me. I'm like, fine. The only thing I want is, and I used shorthand on my part. Shame on me that I didn't have it in writing. But I'm like, I just want acknowledgement on the cover of the book, because it'll be my first book. And I will write eventually more word balloon books. And I can also say author of The Art of Michael A. Von Omen. Okay, fine. Well, the book comes out. My credit is like beyond eye chart tiny. Like you need a magnifying glass. It's barely there. And more importantly, also it's misspelled inside the book.
Ugh.
And my friend who's in library sciences, I'm like, hey, my book's coming out. Oh, let me look it up. John, you're not listed as the author. And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, Mike's listed as the author only. And Bendis is listed as writing the foreword and David Mack the afterword. So I contact the editor, who's a famous guy that's no longer in comics. And he's like, all you said was you wanted your name on the cover. And I'm like, hey, asshole, you know how I can name 1 million athletes that had sports writer ghosts that get co-authorship on the cover? I'm like, the autobiography of Malcolm X was written by Alex Haley, the Roots guy. I'm like, you're from publishing. You know what I meant. Don't be a dick. Too late. So he's like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. So after I interviewed Daniel Shaban, because everyone is like, Dan is a great editor. You got to get him on. And he works with Brian. He works with all of my friends, including Oming as well. And it's like, all right. And we have a great talk. And he mentions that he had met learned under this same editor. And I'm like, I don't know if you were there when this thing happened to me. And he goes, no, oh my God. But I told him the story, and he goes, well, sadly, that's kind of consistent with the jerk you were dealing with.
Right.
And he goes, hey, I'm going to make a note. Now, this is 2 days before New Year's. And I'm like, oh, he's making a note. Maybe something will happen in the new year. That's fine. That whatever. And literally 10 minutes later, he's like, John, it's fixed. And he sends me the Amazon link, and that's on there. And I contact my library science guy, and he goes, oh, no, it's in the Library of Congress. You're listed as the author.
All right.
So, yeah, I know. Isn't that awesome, man?
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
So, yeah.
That's fantastic, man.
And it was like
Congratulations.
literally with 2 days left of my 20th year. So it's like,
yeah,
John, one more nice little thing for the 20th anniversary.
Seriously, that's fantastic. I love that.
Oh, yeah. So
that's a feather in your cap right there. Hell yeah.
So Dan Chabon needs to get on this about Helldivers, everybody. That
yeah, right. I'm sure. Well, I mean, the fact that like Dark Horse is putting out the licensing for the toys, I'm assuming
the helmet,
it's like, well, you know, if anybody, you know,
yeah, it's a
Dennis wants to
no-brainer.
write a comic book, you know.
I got to email Dan and see if there's anything going on with a Helldivers comic. I think that would make an amazing thing.
Seriously.
Mo Hef Society. I guess I was happy to get that Svengoolie meets the DC Universe book a couple years back. Was that just in Chicago? No, that was. I know it was a special thing, and I don't know if it was only. I know that other stores had it, and had it at least in North America, because that's Frank Miller Presents tried a Svengoolie anthology book, and it sold well in North America. But Frank's international, so it really was like, yeah, we did okay in North America, but we really didn't. Nobody in England wanted the Svengoolie anthology.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do?
But exactly. Yeah.
Well, anyway, do you want to? We're over 2 hours. Did you want to wrap up?
I guess we should probably, give the
leave
the people wanting more.
Oh, what's that?
Oh, I said, well, let's leave the people wanting more.
Exactly. No, Sal, honestly, again, and I know you feel the same way. Let's try and do this more often than once.
Definitely. Yeah, once every few years. Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. Are you going to go to San Diego again this year?
I have every intention of going to San Diego this year. I did go last year. I got sick the first day, and so not like I didn't get COVID. It was just a really bad cold that ruined my weekend. But so it was a bad time, man. I had fun, but
no, it sucks to be away.
And I went alone. I'm gonna, if I can, I'll bring Tiffany with me because that'll be way more fun. She's been with me a few times, and But
did you do a panel?
We did. Josh and I had the panel for our podcast, All Stars.
Was it in the convention or was it at the library?
No. They crammed us in the library. That's why the amazing people who came. We do appreciate you, but it was there were people who were turned away because they didn't have badges, and I'm like, it's not in the convention, guys. Come on.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That honestly, man, that is something. If honestly, that's the kind of thing that Eddie Ibrahim needs to know, and Eddie's in charge of programming at San Diego, and a great guy, honestly. Yeah. And I also love that on Sunday at 3:00 there's an open forum. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? And that's legit. That San Diego's done that for decades.
That's really cool.
Rightfully so. So honestly.
Yeah. They did that wrong because that sucked. But it was a beautiful venue, but it was like, because, it's the little library and there's a beautiful courtyard, which is great if you want to take 5 and avoid everyone at the convention. But if you would like people to come to your panel, it is not exactly a great venue. But WonderCon was nice enough to offer us another panel this year, but I don't think we can make it. It's just, I don't think it's going to happen. But, but unlike San Diego, because WonderCon, same people, they were like, oh no, it's WonderCon. That's you're getting a fine, like a real location, and it's part of the programming. But we weren't even in the friggin'. I don't think we were in the program. Now that I look back,
San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego. I don't think we were in the program, which is
my God,
another bummer. But man, it was but it was a fun. I mean, obviously, I love going to that show. I hope we get I hope we get approval again. I'm waiting to hear back. Because it used to be like it was a few years. Now it's like every year. Yeah.
Yep.
But
I call it really expensive summer camp.
It is so expensive, man.
You drop a couple grand. And it's great because all my out of town friends are all together, and it's beautiful weather, and isn't this great? And it's like, It is costing me a fucking shitload.
Yeah,
so,
and
I haven't
make
gone in years, and
I
I
make
don't know.
negative money when I go to that show. But it was cool. That's funny. Like the last 2 years, like I took Josh to see Deadpool and Wolverine 2 years ago, and the year after that, I saw Fantastic Four with everyone from Comic Sketch Art. So it's like Josh and me and Scott Snyder and like and Kenny Porter, and everybody's just hanging out, and we're just. By the way, that was great. I was not quite sick yet, but it was at 10:45 p.m., which for me was 2 a.m.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm sorry, for me and Scott. So before the 4 came up, Scott was asleep. And
I believe it.
And I'm just like, Josh, if you hear anything, just hit me, just but I managed to watch the whole thing. And it's funny because like I loved it. I had a great time. It was great to see it with a bunch of like DC fans.
What I love about going to San Diego is hanging with the Australians, because it's totally like the middle of the day after midnight there, when we're
so they're probably like ready to rock.
And I cannot tell you how many San Diegos I'm hanging out with Tom Taylor and Nicola Scott, and it's great because it's Sunday night. I'm not flying back to Chicago till Monday evening,
right?
So I totally could just sack out, late night and still get my shit together before I have to go to the airport. Yeah. So I absolutely, when everyone else is done with the Dead Dog Party and everybody's gone, I am outside, right by the Hyatt and everything with Nicola and Taylor, and just hanging out, because it's like, oh man, I'm like, my God, my friends from Australia, how often am I going to see you?
Yeah,
and it's been years. So,
man, it's funny. There's also like there's that hotel with the pool, and on the other side, yes. every year I say I'm going to go in, and I never do, and I'm like, yeah, because it's such a beautiful. It's so hot.
Well,
I just want to relax.
Yeah, man. No, it's like I said, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Perhaps someday I will have a reason to go. I'm luckily fortunate enough, not to brag at all, but being around for 20 years, it's like, all right, I know the people that I need to talk to, and it's always good to network with new people, and that's why I still go to conventions. Mm-hmm. But it's sometimes they're too pricey.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like, you can go to C2E2, but
But San Diego, for any attendee, they do not make it easy at all.
No, it's expensive, really, and it's not always their fault. I mean, it's just like the demand is high, the city is aware, and it's just it's tough. You just got to plan for it. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I want to go. I love going. I did make the most of my New York trip this year. We live next door, so like it's easy to go. I love New York Comic Con, but we make a good. Those are my 2 shows that I like to go to: San Diego and New York. I do love Baltimore, but I haven't been in a couple of years. I just haven't had a chance to. Mostly because they have Baltimore around like either a week before or a week after New York, and I'm like, yes. Could you make it something else, please, so that we don't have to do this? But I think it's smart, because I think they want like people who would go to New York, from the West Coast, they'll just stay. But it's like, it's 2 weeks, man. It's not, they're not. It's not like it's the Monday after Comic-Con. They got to stay a whole extra week.
Well, and normally, because I know from just being friends with Mitch, there's a whole territory and like common courtesy 90 days between shows. Yeah, in a tri-state area that people try to do that. At least the decent convention owners and stuff. Mm-hmm. No, I get it, man. It's very interesting. Would you say that the convention environment is still as big as it was 20 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever? Where would you say currently it is?
It's weird because, I would have said, I don't go to a lot of the smaller conventions, like 10 or 20 years ago. 10 years ago, I went to a lot more. Like I went to because there were so many more, and I think they've really it's shrunk, but it hasn't really affected New York and San Diego outside of it never having really affected it. I can imagine, anyone who's going to go to a convention and likes conventions is going to go to either New York or San Diego or both. But if they have like a convention in their area, they might want to go to that one, but they might have to prioritize. Whereas now there are fewer of them than there had been, when there was like a big glut of them. And I
Do
feel
you really
like
think there's less? I haven't really made it.
it seems like it to me. I mean, or at the very least, they've niched out, like they turned into other things, or they've really gotten focused. Like I have not seen like the Wizard World effect the way it
No,
had
but
been.
Well, no, but it's obviously morphed into Fan Expo.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I don't see it
And
as
there's-
much. Maybe
and
maybe they've
Galaxy-
reduced their marketing.
I
But,
I would count GalaxyCon because I think they have enough comic book people there. It is more of a Hollywood and autograph show
oh
than a
sure.
comic book show.
Well,
But
there's also
it's-
Terrificon, and there's
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I've never been to
yeah.
still, and that's not far. And I should just
Yeah,
go to
man.
Terrificon at some point because it's a
Yeah,
huge
you
list.
gotta-
I know
you
you
gotta-
went last year.
yeah, I can. Well, yeah, I can. I can hook you up at the very least with tickets and and probably press passes. And
Oh
stuff.
yeah. No,
'Cause
it's
Mitch-
and it's
Mitch
the
trusts
list
me.
is insane.
Well, but no, I was going to say it's like legitimate, a legitimate channel and stuff. It'd be really easy and stuff. No,
Yeah. It'd be fun to do. I would love to. I mean, I'd love to go.
It's going to be a good year. I
Yeah.
can't reveal beyond what Mitch has put out there, but
Yes.
I am privy to the guest list, and it's going to be a really good year. I have more than enough friends that will certainly, if not be available for dinner, certainly drinks afterwards and hanging out, and it'll be fun. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I have a great time, and Mitch is a great host to me,
Oh, sure.
and we have a great business relationship as well. And he's
Yeah.
funny on my Star Trek review shows.
Oh, sure,
So-
yeah. Yeah. I haven't, and I liked Emerald City when I've been like I think twice, and I've never been again. And I would love to go to Emerald City again, but as far as I'm concerned, I haven't seen any change. Like I have seen a reduction in who's going to more. Like I see that some creators have kind of been like, I don't need to go. Like they felt like the priorities have shifted, and like they don't have to go to all of them. Some have decided they don't need to go to most of them. And and the ones they do go to, it's like really oddly selective and specific. And so I think that like the convention circuit has like everything kind of like not shrunk as much as it's niched. It's become like, particular folks are going, but not everyone goes to one or both.
Oh no, you're right about that. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. Because again, I mean, I look at Heidi's Count at the Beat website, and it always seems like, again, every month, even December and January, that were usually down months, that they were totally full. February's full.
That's interesting. I did not know that. I see. I'm not really plugged into the convention circuit outside of me going to them once in a while.
No, and I understand, and also the concentration of shows in your area as well.
Yeah.
You have you're I mean, again, it's that period. I didn't even realize that Planet Comic Con in Kansas City is the same weekend as C2E2, and that surprised me. Again, I was talking to Han, and I'm like, well, I'll see you in Chicago, and he goes, no, you won't. And I said, how come? He goes, KC, man. He goes, and I get it because that's his backyard show.
Right.
And he's like, oh no, Ignition Press is doing this whole thing with not only the beauty, but their other comics and stuff. Have you had any Ignition Press people on yet?
No, I have not. I don't think so anyway.
They're
only if there's any crossover, but no, I don't think so.
No, they're they're all, I think, established image people and certainly over my 20 years.
Yeah.
I just talked to Jimmy McCann. He's got a new book through them. And Dennis Hopeless I talked to last night. He's got a new book.
Mhm.
And Cullen Bunn is over there.
Oh, okay.
Jamie Rich is their editor-in-chief. And Jamie certainly has a great pedigree at Oni and DC over the years.
Yes.
So, and Image as well. So yeah, that's here. Prince Parker says DreamCon's in Houston. Still, but I'm going back for Easter. I'd have to plan for it. All right. Then.
Yeah, and I've heard about Dragon Con. Everybody wants me to go to Dragon Con.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, I don't know. That sounds like a nightmare.
It sounds hilarious.
Yeah,
and
like it sounds
also,
crazy.
Yeah, and also I'm fascinated that it is like several hotels all doing their own kind of programming.
Yeah.
So it is interesting, but yeah, I don't know, man. I am certainly curious to be an observer So
Yeah, I'd like to see it at some point. I've only been in Atlanta as a layover, so it would be cool to see.
great city. No, it's an excellent city. I can
Yeah?
attest to that.
Nice.
So yeah. All right,
Cool,
Sally.
man.
Well, Jesus, man. Again, I kept you longer than I meant to. I apologize.
Well, it's always a pleasure. The time flew by. I appreciate you having me on, man. And and then when we got to talk about MST3K, which is always rare, because you never know who's circulating the tapes.
Thank you for making me aware. That's wonderful, and I will certainly back the project myself. And it's again, there's another thing you and I have in common that I didn't realize. Seriously, man, it's been great getting to know you these years,
You
and
too, bud.
I appreciate it. I appreciate your friendship, and even every now and then, Sal and I play Podcast Garage, and I pull my clunker in. And I open the hood, and I'm like, "All right, Sal, what do I need on this thing?"
That's true.
I'm not getting the gas mileage I should be getting. What the hell's going on?
That's fair, yeah. And I'm happy to help. As long as it does, because God only knows if I'm even sure of what's going on anymore.
real fast, Sal. A podcast question.
Yeah.
Do you make shorts of what you guys put out there?
Oh,
isn't that interesting in terms of the traffic that they get compared to the long content?
Oh, I know, and it's frustrating because YouTube is prioritizing it, so it's a good idea.
Well, and honestly, I continue to quote Bill Maher, who said, "People want 2 hours of audio and 1 minute of video."
Yep,
and it's kind of true.
You ain't wrong about that.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk more about it off the air.
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks, man. No, great
pleasure,
talking to you. And thank you everybody for watching. Super Bowl Sundays, so we won't be doing a Star Trek review on Sunday. We will do it on Monday, though. And also Monday afternoon, as I was saying, I'm going to talk to Bob Rozakis, the answer man from DC's Bronze Age. We're going to record on Monday afternoon. So that's going to be coming up next week on Word Balloon Live. And also Diana Schutz, the wonderful Dark Horse and Comico editor emeritus, is going to be back talking about what she's doing now and also look back at her comic career. All that on Word Balloon Live. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.